A sweltering Moroccan spring day at the Circuit Moulay Al Hassan. We're in the heart of the capital, or the old capital of the country, Marrakesh, the Red City, close to the Atlas Mountains, which are not doing much to help bring down the temperatures. Air temperature 31 degrees and still climbing, and the track temperature will soar to over 50 degrees before we have finished with our two races. The opening of the 2017 FIA World Touring Car Championship will undoubtedly be very physical for man and machine. Well, there is the sign of a very crowded grid. Tom Coronel, the DHL pole sitter for our opening race. You saw his partner Pauline Swartz taking a selfie there as the crowded grid is filling fast with cars and drivers already starting to swelter inside their machinery. Temperatures in the car at the moment with the engine running will be up in the 40s. By the time they get into the race itself, up to about 60 degrees. I'm Martin Haven, alongside me multiple British touring car champion Matt Neal, and we will be covering the action for you from start to finish. Two races, couple of rule changes and new faces to conjure with, one of whom will start on the outside of the front row, Argentina's Esteban Guerrieri. And Alex Le Gui caught up with him just a moment ago.
Esteban Guerrieri moved to the front row of the grid just behind Tom Coronel. Right, are we going to see an aggressive Esteban today? What's your strategy?
Hi everybody. Well, probably yes, it's a good opportunity. We have a solid car. We couldn't show it maybe in Q2 because of a yellow flag from Tom actually. But we were okay to be a bit more in front. Then we were a bit lucky with the guys. Unluckily for them that they got penalized. So we qualify 9th. We are starting in front. It's a nice opportunity to make a nice race. So here we are, ready for it.
And the feisty Argentine has got his gloves off. Good stuff. Best of luck.
Thank you very much.
Aggressive Esteban. I'm not sure that Guerrieri has a laid-back driving style. He's always Mr. Maximum Attack, and that can only be entertaining. Brand new name to conjure with, Yann Elachet, young Frenchman, just 20 years old. That's his sister holding the umbrella. You won't recognise her unless you saw Kathy Muller driving when she was...
Well, from driving them before, so I know where they're strong, I know where they're weak. I do know that Lopez was actually stuck behind Tom Coronel for the whole race last year and couldn't get past. But I'm hoping that my advantage is the fact that I know where the Chevy is weak. So I'm going to hopefully use that to my advantage. But this circuit is particularly hard to overtake on. And, it's first round of the year. I want to get as many points as possible. So for me, it has to be a podium.
And where is the Chevy weak?
I don't want to give it away on camera. I don't want to say.
Best of luck with the race.
Thank you.
So he knows the Chevrolet well, having raced it for several seasons. He lines up in third position, which is where Tom Coronel was on last year's opening race grid. And the race fell into his lap when the poleman, who was then also in a Chevrolet, James Thompson, got shunted out by a rather overambitious move in damp conditions by Alada, who'd started alongside him. And the two of them exited stage left. The race then fell into Tom Coronel's hands. These very different conditions, not just in grip level on dry tarmac, but also Chevrolet might be more marginal on brakes than some of its new arrivals behind it on the grid. So Coronel's strategy will be very clear. Tom Coronel starts on the DHL pole, and Esteban Guerrieri alongside him. Coronel apparently broken his handbrake, but we don't start on a slope, so it shouldn't matter too much. Tom Chilton and Ted Björk for Citroën and Volvo. Nicky Katzberg now at Volvo rather than Lada, and sixth alongside him, Mehdi Banani, the local hero, who's got a great chance in both races. Rob Huff's also in a Citroën run by Munich Motorsport. He starts ahead of Norbert Michaelis, then Girolami's Volvo and Montero's Honda. Daniel Nagy and John Philippi are on row 6 of the grid, and then three drivers who were all penalised after qualifying. Ryo Michigami's Honda and Yann Elachet's Lada both missed the weighbridge, and Aurelien Panis, his car was found to be underweight. Now, he was 15th in qualifying anyway, and so he suffers no further penalty. He was the last car on the grid anyway, but Elachet was due to start on the pole for the opening race, so he unfortunately has gone from 1st to 14th on the grid. Well, let's take a look then at young Aurélien Panis. Comes from 2-litre Formula Renault, ex-single-seater driver, very recently ex. And his father, Olivier, the last man to win a Grand Prix for France. Well, Olivier Panis sitting alongside us in the booths high over the circuit, Moulay Al Hassan. And a very nervous dad in qualifying, and I imagine he'll be even more nervous. Matt Neal, you've got a similar situation. You don't have to commentate on them, but both your boys are now racing in touring cars or in mini. So, what kind of emotion is? I mean, there's nothing you can do, right? You're just basically helpless.
That's right, Martin. It was interesting. The commentary booths for the different languages are all laid off in a line across each other, and you can see down the line through the glass sections, and I was watching the look on Olivier's face as as his lad was having a few moments in qualifying, and I could see the pain as well and the frustration, because he just wants him to do well, and you know he has to stand away on the outside and let him get on with it and find his own feet a bit. But you're there and you've got the experience, and you want to try and help, but not be pushy at the same time. Exactly.
You want to be there for advice, but you don't want to be you don't want to be karting dad. And every team owner knows exactly what I mean by that. Ryo Michigami then making his second World Touring Car start. Now he's a full factory driver this year in the Castrol, in the Honda R&D, the red and grey Honda Civic. Unfortunately, missed the weighbridge, as did Yann Erlaché in qualifying, and so their times were deleted. They're sent to the back of the grid. Erlaché, as I said, should have been on the opening race pole. Just in front of them, John Philippi trying to find a tiny little bit of shade inside the car. Even with covers over the windscreen, it will still be 40 degrees, so you need to get as much cool air as you can. Well, the car's already on the grid here in Marrakesh, and lining up behind Tom Coronel, our DHL pole sitter for the opening race of the championship. Now, for the opening race, points remain the same, the format remains the same. The main race will be longer, not a huge amount longer, but another lap longer, possibly 2 on certain circuits, and there will be more points as well for winning that race and for the other positions. Daniel Nagy in the second Zengo Motorsport Honda. He lines up on row 6 of the grid. So Daniel had a reasonable qualifying period yesterday, picked up 2 spots because of the disqualifications ahead of him on the grid. Thiago Monteiro starts 10th in our opening race. And Thiago has claimed what I was surprised to learn is only his 4th career World Touring Car Championship pole. He will start the main race on pole position. That's a great way to start the championship. The last 3 years, at least, the man who has been on pole and taken 5 points to take the championship lead in the first race weekend of the season has gone on to win the championship outright. Mind you, in each one of those cases, his name was Jose Maria Lopez, so I'm not sure whether that's a human pattern or it's a statistical pattern. Alongside him, 9th place for this race, second on the main race grid will be Nesta Girolami. Made his first appearance in the top 5 shootout, in his first appearance in this now 3-car Polestar Cyan Racing team this season. And they have done an awful lot of work over the winter, as have Honda, to progress their car, and it certainly looked very effective in qualifying. Nesta Girolami wasn't the fastest man in free practice, but he put that to bed, and he was the fastest man for the Polestar team in qualifying. Norman Michelis, 8th place on the opening race grid. He'll line up 3rd for the main event, directly behind Thiago Monteiro, his Honda teammate. Norby became a father last week, so baby daughter and his wife back home, sure will be glued to the screens. It's fast approaching 4:30 local time here, and rather than getting cooler, it is still getting hotter. The sun past its zenith, a little bit of cloud filling the sky. It was clear blue most of the morning, a little bit of a breeze, but the temperature's still really very high indeed. Rob Huff in the Citroen. He's wearing the All-Inkle Motorsport colours, raced a Seat Leon for All-Inkle 2 or 3 seasons ago, and then last year, of course, they ran a single Chevrolet for James Thompson, who was on the opening race pole here. and unfortunately got clattered out of the race. Mehdi Benani, the local hero, 6th position on the grid for the Moroccan driver. Cathy Muller, whose son Jan El Haché is in an RC Motorsport Lada here. Cathy Muller's Hexagon Engineering team was the team that first brought Mehdi Benani to the World Touring Car Championship back in the Seat Leon days. Nicky Katzberg, 5th place on the grid with the disappearance from the championship of Lada last year. Katzberg was on a few shopping lists, and I think he's found a very happy home at Volvo. And he lines up 5th with teammate Ted Björk in 4th. Top 4 on the opening race grid for Ted Björk. He is the top Volvo in the lineup in this opening race. Nicky Katzberg 5th, and 9th place for their teammate Nestor Girolami. But Girolami will start on the front row for the main race of the afternoon, which follows pretty much hot on the heels of this opening race. We're getting the 3-minute board. And there, with his wild man of the woods look, is Ivan Muller. Said in qualifying, Matt, that when he gave up racing, he also gave up razors. He's certainly grown a lot more beard than he ever had when he was trying to fit it under a helmet.
He's certainly given up something. He said hello to me in the paddock on Friday, and I looked straight through him. I just really did not recognise him. And I've known Ivan for 20 years now.
Well, he's always had that really short, stubbly beard, but yeah, that's a proper Norseman Volvo-style beard. Tom Chilton lines up 3rd place. He's again back with Sebastian Loeb Racing. They're running 3 Citroens, no factory Citroen team this year, of course, and a 4th Citroen on the grid being run for Rob Huff by Munich Motorsport. And here is our front row. Now, of course, these guys were not actually 9th and 10th in qualifying. They were 11th and 12th, but with 2 cars from the top 10 being penalised, they move up for race 1, which means they move up onto the front row of the grid. Argentina's Esteban Guerrieri, very talented single-seater driver, turned to touring cars, had a first outing in Termas Rio Hondo last year, and he is being run by the Campos Motorsport team in their Chevy Cruze. And Tom Coronel, back with Royal Motorsport, back with the Chevrolet. Big update this year. They've painted the car rather than wrapped it, and that's it. So waiting for a new windscreen so he can see out better, because it's pot-marked with 2 seasons worth of stone chips.
But Martin, he's still got the same cheesy helmet.
Yes,
so.
he has.
And the one-liners.
And the same cheesy grin, yes, exactly. One of the liveliest social media exponents you'll find anywhere, and certainly a big boost to the championship as well. He's also fiercely competitive, won the opening race here last year in that same car, exactly the same car, the same chassis, the same engine, the same everything. So tyres are being taken off the grid, and the teams return to the garage as we get ready for the 1-minute boards. The grid will be cleared, so even the cameras will depart, and engines started. So Coronel knows how to deal with this pressure, doesn't he? Esteban Guerrieri on the outside of the front row. He knows he's got a great opportunity, but both Chevy drivers are fearful that their rivals will have better brakes for longer. Coronel and Guerrieri lead us away to start the season. Tom Chilton behind. Can he win this one in the SLR Citroen? What about Ted Björk? First race win for Volvo in race 1, or Nicky Katzberg might pay capital here. And what about Mehdi Benani? And then Rob Huff, his first ever race in a Citroen. Norbert Mikulits, Nestor Girolami and Thiago Montero round out the top 10 ahead of Daniel Naj, John Philippi, the penalised Rio Michigami and Jan El Haché, and Aurelien Panis. They are our 15 cars ready to start here. Panis should have a teammate soon in RC Motorsport's second Lada. They're the cars run by the factory team last year, the Lada Granta Sport. So the cars leave the grid for what is a brief warm-up lap. Let's hear from Tom Coronel.
Okay, welcome race fans here at our first race of the WTCC. Yeah, as you see, I'm lucky because I'm starting from the pole position. We didn't expect that. In qualifying we weren't the best, but last year we also started here from the first position, and we won the race because the start is very important. As you see, it's a street circuit. everything very tight. Very, very, very small, very difficult to overtake. There are some possibilities, but then you have to take the risk. Especially here, like the chicane, second gear, accelerate up to the long straight to the back part of the track. Yeah, in qualifying I made here a few braking mistakes, so hopefully not this time. I'm happy. Everything feels well. We are in a good situation, and that always helps. This is the smallest part of the track. Here in the qualification I hit the wall, there's still the yellow paint on it, so I will be a little bit more relaxed here. And then the hairpin, very difficult for the braking, good on the inside, and the acceleration, easily wheel spin. Guys, only 2 corners for the start, so I'm very sorry, but see you after the race. I have to concentrate now.
Thank you, Tom Coronel. The reference, Matt Neal, of course, to the yellow paint on the wall was where he brushed the wall with the right rear wheel arch in qualifying. A couple of drivers, about half a dozen drivers, lost wing mirrors on the tyre stacks, but Tom actually just had a little slap with the wall. However, perfectly poised. I mean, what a great position to be in as a driver to start the championship. Pole position for the opening race of the year.
Yeah, the margins are minuscule round here amongst these concrete walls. A bit of local wildlife there. Hopefully the concrete walls will keep them out. But the drivers, you know, getting these cars off the line is one of the toughest things to do, and they'll have a set amount of procedures they need to go through to want to get the tyres warm, the brakes warm, the clutch warm but not too warm. So they have to sort of go through these procedures and do a few calculations literally in themselves, because they're not allowed the fully automated way that they are in Formula One. Some of it still has to be, they like to be able to make some errors. So they're just lining up now, and so the start is going to be one of the most critical points of the whole race, because it is so difficult to overtake around here.
Green flag waves at the back of the grid. The race of Morocco is about to get underway. Tom Coronel on the right-hand side of your screen on pole position. Esteban Guerrieri. Will it be the Dutchman or the Argentine that leads? What about the Swedes behind? Great start from Katzberg. Chilton's chances of a win have gone west. Contact from Bernani as he goes around Katzberg. Bernani looking for fourth into the long left-handed first corner. It's Coronel from Guerrieri, and the 2 Volvos are looking at third and fourth. Now again, another biff with the red, white and green. Mehdi Bernani, he's got the inside line now, but he'll be on the outside around this long third corner. Oh, and sideways, Ria Michigami got tagged from behind. Coronel leads, and Guerrieri must go with him.
I reckon we're going to have a safety car, Martin, because we've got the Lada still stuck on the grid. I don't know what's happened to it, whether it's transmission or what.
Yann Erlacher has not moved. You're right, there are furiously waved yellows down there, but he's stuck in the middle of the road. Bernani defending for fourth, bits coming off Nicky Katzberg's car, and Ted Björk already right on the heels of Esteban Guerrieri in second position. Björk in the blue Volvo. And there at the back, Aurelian Panis ahead of Tom Chilton. So Chilton made a very slow getaway as well. Aurelian Panis in the green and black. Or is he? No, that's not him. That's Daniel Naj.
Oh, I could see John Philippi limping his way around there. So whether he's had contact
John Philippi's got a broken left front corner, so he'll be coming into the pits. His race is over. Yann Erlacher, has he had contact? No, how can Philippi have made contact from behind?
There must be some sort of contact. There's some tyre marks on the grid, I can see.
Yeah. Well,
the pace car will pick him up, because they'll arrive here like a jar full of wasps otherwise.
Well, they're running very slowly. There is Bruno Montero, our regular pace car driver in the Volvo safety car. So he picks up the field. Now, this is exactly what Tom Coronel and the crew did not need, because they wanted to get away. They're now going to have to make a break after the safety car period.
Actually, Martin, this is exactly what Tom wants, because he can settle it all down, get everything all nice, warmed up, gentle, and he can afford to make a break leaving Guerrieri.
Right, let's take a look at the start. Yann Erlacher,
yeah.
And he came around a near stationary John Philippi. He also clattered Nestor Girolami, who was down there at the back. So the damage, watch Erlacher right at the back. Philippi stalls, Erlacher's got no room to get through.
Tight street circuit.
In fact, I thought Erlacher had made contact on the left. Oh, gee! But in fact, somebody else had hit Girolami.
Michigami was coming right to avoid the Volvo.
Yeah.
And they all lose the no claims bonus.
And Michigami makes contact with Chilton under braking and just gets tagged sideways. The car already unbalanced there. And that is Jan Elaché. So the young nephew of Ivan Muller is out of his first ever World Championship race. Let's listen.
Hey mate, are you okay? Yeah, I'm okay. It was just impossible to avoid. Okay, there's something wrong with the car, it looks like, so don't drive it, just like stay there. We don't want to break it more, you understand?
Well, that was a moment or two ago, obviously. And if it didn't say that was Elaché, you could easily be forgiven for thinking that's Ivan Muller's voice, because he sounds exactly like a young Ivan Muller. John Phillippe's back in the pits. Coming in is Ryo Michigami, just under our right window.
Wounded as well.
Yeah, he's got another broken arm on the steering, hasn't he?
Yeah, that real trailing arm is...
Right. I'm afraid Elaché may not start race 2 either. That was a big impact on the right front corner of the Lada. And I'm afraid, there's his mum on the left, Kathy Muller. I'm afraid Elaché is probably done for the day. Safety car's going to lead the field through the pit lane again, because Elaché's car is stuck on the grid. There's not a crane, and we're waiting for a flatbed truck to come round from one of the runoff areas to come and pick him up.
Yeah, they've got flatbed trucks everywhere, so I'm surprised.
Well, there are a couple at the far end of the pit lane, but they've got to come in and then
they've probably got to go the full length of the circuit, Martin, because they're actually stationed at the end of the pit lane and they can't go.
But they can come down the straight because all the cars are coming down the pit lane.
Oh, you can't go the wrong way around, mate. Oh, yes, he is actually.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, no, he can, because there's nobody coming down this way. So now he's got to do a 3-point turn. You're not seeing it on your screen, but outside our window. And that's a really horrible way for Elaché's race to end, because no fault of his own, he made a good start, reacted instantly to John Phillippe's stall, and Aurélien Panis was lucky to get through from behind, because Michigami makes a shocking start.
He'd have been through if Michigami hadn't gone right.
And Panis then has to come through as well, on board with...
Oh, who was that with the Volvo? Which Volvo was that?
That's Nicky Katzberg.
Oh, he's going around Chilton then.
Yeah, trying to get around Chilton. And that this is Benani, 25, Mehdi Benani. So this is on board with Mehdi. He got a nudge there. He had another 2 nudges down into the hairpin at turn 3. Well, that was all arms and elbows for the first 50 metres, wasn't it? Crikey. And now they've got the trolley dolly. Now, that was a much better idea. The team have come out with the little wheeled jacks, put the car up on its jacks, put the wheels under it, and now they're wheeling it in on casters back into the pit lane.
The benefit of that, they can get it straight back in the garage and start working on it.
And there's mum Kathy Muller, a resigned look on her face. I talked to her earlier, I was talking to her on Friday and saying, do you not think on Saturday, do you not think about running him? No. It's bad enough being his mother watching him race. I don't want to be his team boss and his mother watching him race. That's far too many emotions going on there. Ryo Michigami, well, they'll work hard to get the steering arm on. You're probably going to have to drop part, at least, of the flat floor of the Honda to get that work done. And the deal here is they don't have to even get him out in this race. If they can finish the work or get enough of it done that they can finish it off in the 15-minute repair time, then he should be able to rejoin. Well, race distance, as you can see from the top of the screen, is now up from 18 to 20 laps. We're allowed to add up to 2 more laps to allow for safety car. We're now on our 3rd lap of non-racing of safety car. Well, our 2nd lap of safety car, but it was scrambled on lap 1. So the distance will increase no further. But again, Matt, you can see here aerodynamic wheel arch liners and all the other stuff, fair in the suspension. You have to remove all of that gubbins before you can start getting the nitty-gritty.
That's right, everything is sealed in there, so they are a real pain to work on. It's not like a rally car or a British touring car where you can see all the... Oh, they're doing another lap. I thought they were going to be... Bruno's going around for another lap in the same...
Oh, and Huff's in the pits. Rob Huff just came in the back of the shot. Huff is... Oh. Half the field's gone down the straight, and Rob Huff has led the rest of them down the pit lane. It's too early for driver changes or fuel stops, and we don't have those in touring cars. Why's Huff stopped? Right, waiting to hear, but it's not coming.
Overheating.
He's overheating, and because he dived into the pit lane...
Losing the power steering. We seem to be losing the power steering.
Right, lots of smoke from under the bonnet. But because he dived into the pit lane, all the guys behind him followed him. Because they're unsighted, they don't know where everybody else has gone.
Now they've got to try and catch up with the crocodile.
Well, they've come round a blind corner, and suddenly, oh, we're going down the pit lane, just like we did the last 2 laps, so they followed him.
So we now have 7 cars in the crocodile.
And the others beetling around.
A bunch trying to go at full whack, which I could see him from here. Absolutely on it, trying to catch him up.
The reason Mirek sent them down the straight, our race director, was so that they could see the scene of the accident, be safe and happy that there was nothing there, and then he was going to get ready to release them. So he's now going to have to get Bruno to slow right down. No, he's already saying, right, OK, safety car will come in this lap. So Tom Coronel lights are off, it's exit sector 2. Tom Coronel and Esteban Guerrieri have to go the instant they come out of the final corner. And they've already got like 6 car lengths on Ted Bjerg.
Oh, Bjerg's been caught asleep. The 2 Chevys have made a jump on him.
Rotten restarting from Ted Bjerg there. Mehdi Benani in 4th, then the 2nd of the blue Volvos. That's Nicky Katzberg ahead of Norbert Michelisz and Thiago Montero. So that's your 7-car group, and the rest of them now come streaming across the start line below us, as Coronel has the first of what will probably be many lockups there. You come through a long right-hander into a left-handed braking area, which is also going downhill. If they put a jump in it, it would make it harder for the car, but not an awful lot.
Guerrieri is smelling his first WTC victory, but Coronel knows how to win. He's won round here before, but he's going to get... They've got about 2 or 3 laps on the brakes, holding out full whack, and then they're going to be very busy. He looks... Oh, it looks a handful already, doesn't it?
Do you not notice how Guerrieri already on the first racing lap after the safety car pulled out of the slipstream immediately to get some cool air? There's Tom Chilton ahead of Nesta Girolami. Don't forget, Girolami can't afford any damage. He's starting 2nd on the main race grid with more points available than there are in this race.
Yeah, but
and
Martin, he's also started a good result in this race, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's way back, Girolami, but look at the Volvos here. They were both pulling out of the slipstream, cooling air. Cooling air is going to be absolutely critical for everybody here.
Coming round for the 2nd full lap. 35-degree air temperature, 47-degree check temperature, so it's going to start smouldering on the tyres.
Yeah, it really is.
2nd group just coming through now, led by Daniel Nagy.
Well, Daniel Nagy, I'm going out on a limb here. I can't remember him scoring points last year. This might be his maiden point score if he can continue in that position to the flag. Tom Chilton 9th, Nesta Girolami 10th will be in the points, but right at the sharp end, Tom Coronel, Esteban Guerrieri, and Ted Bjerg's closed up. But now, Matt, as a driver, does he know that he's got limited time to actually do something about it before his car starts to suffer more than the ones in front?
To be fair, Martin, Coronel is really driving with his head here. He knows the Chevy hasn't got the pace or the durability of the cars behind him, so he's almost saving himself, and you can see everyone's bottled up behind him. As long as he can keep that 2nd Chevy as a buffer between them, he's trying to save something for later on the race when the Honda and the Volvo will be stronger.
But the other thing is, of course, he's in clear air. Guerrieri a little bit, but behind him, the Citroen, the blue Volvos, the Hondas are in progressively hotter and hotter and hotter air over their brake cooling, over their engine cooling, over their gearbox cooling, and they will start to suffer at a greater rate than him.
It's like the queue to get off Sainsbury's car park, this lot.
And there is your 2nd group, Daniel Nagy ahead of Tom Chilton. Yeah, so Coronel's just got to basically take a middle and leg defence and just defend, just be in the middle of the road, into every braking zone, make sure that Guerrieri has to go the long way round the outside.
Well, Martin, yeah, but the other thing is if Guerrieri loses his brakes in the sort of as the Chevy will start to munch into its brakes, he could get rear-ended. You know, if he allows him to be too close, he almost needs to sort of pace him back, try and make a break. Pace him back, try and make a break.
Yeah. Well, you can see that Guerrieri there, running through the chicane, had a little bit more on the way out that Coronel did, but a little bit more isn't enough. You've got to have a lot more here. You've got to be able to make up 3 or 4 car lengths, and that's really hard.
I reckon someone's going to get rear-ended before too long.
Well, the longer the race goes on in this queue, the hotter the cars behind are going to get, the hotter the drivers behind are going to
And
get.
the longer the brake pedal's going to get.
The more frustrated, the more they need to make a move.
Any one of this leading pack could win this race, because you don't know it. Only one's got to step out of turn, make a small mistake.
And it's almost like it's a wet race, because they're all pulling out of the slipstream, not to see out of the spray, but to get cooling air. And Guerrieri really looks quicker than Coronel, but whether he can exploit it or not remains to be seen.
It's almost like a reincarnation of Jose Maria Lopez, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's got the same demeanour, same coolness, same aggression.
Seen a lot of Guerrieri racing single-seaters who really rate him. I think he's been criminally overlooked in a way that Lopez was for quite a while as well. This could really launch a whole new career. Now then, did Guerrieri make a little mistake there? He was normally tucked under Coronel's back bumper coming down into turn 3. This time he wasn't.
Running wide at the back.
Yeah, that's Norbert Mikulits and Thiago Montero. They're 6th and 7th, the two green and white and red Castrol Hondas. So new for this year for you car spotters amongst you. All the Volvos are exactly identical. They haven't even bothered with different coloured mirrors. And Norby is now in a red, white and green Honda. In fact, if you imagine that Norby is last year's Rob Huff, and the grey, red and white Honda is Rio Michigami, not Norbert Mikulits. So when I call Rio Norby, you'll understand why.
Looks like Bjorg has lost one of his mirrors already. Here comes the second group.
Daniel Nadge, Tom Chilton, Nesta Girolami. Well, Tom can now tell us where he thinks the Chevrolets are going to be weak, and the answer is under braking.
Well, that just shows, because in the second group you've got Daniel Nadge leading it.
Yep.
You know, and you know, you've got Girolami in the Volvo and Chilton in the Citroen, who are noticeably faster. It just shows you how hard it is to overtake around here if they're still bottled up behind him.
Exactly right. And Daniel Nadge, not with many years of experience behind him either. So let's take a
both
look
Chevys
here.
look as though they're struggling under brakes now.
Well, they all are, and you can see where the road dips away. There's those big black stripes where everybody locks up because the road just sinks from under you.
Incredibly bumpy and undulations in those heavy braking areas.
You don't have to have the tarmac drop away much for it to unladen the wheel and to allow it to lock. Down this little short back chute up to corner 7, that's one of our prime overtaking opportunities, but with these cars, it's just a little too tight. Look, Chilton can't even stay close enough
Daniel
to Daniel
Nadge has just set the fastest lap of the race.
Good boy.
So this second group is actually closing in on the lead pack.
Well, Aurelian Panis is at the back of the field in the second Zengo Motorsport Honda. So his
you can see they're
championship
closing in,
is
Martin.
underway.
Now we're all going to be in.
Well, you know why? Because Daniel Nadge is leading them 1 minute 24.5. Coronel is 0.6 of a second slower. Coronel's best lap is 0.6 of a second slower. Down the straight come the lead, the Magnificent 7. There you go. I knew that would come back to haunt us after we were talking about that earlier.
Magnificent 10 in
Well,
a
it
couple of
really
laps'
is.
time.
It really is. And do you know what? That can only work better for Coronel. The more cars are bottled up behind him, the better.
Okay, the fastest lap is 24.5, and now you also do 24.5. Manage a bit the speed, okay? Okay, the fastest lap.
All right, well, Nesta Girolami being told, let's refocus here. Main race. Main race. You're starting second on the grid. Main race. Don't overcook anything.
Well, they're also
don't
telling
touch
him,
the
Martin,
wall.
that, you know, because of the conditions out there, he's done a 24.5. He's hundreds away from it, so they're basically telling him he's as fast as anything out there. Just keep your head down.
That's quick enough, Seb. Yeah, how many times did you hear that going out to Sebastian Vettel in his Red Bull days? Okay, that's quick enough. No more now. And that's what they're telling him, because if he oversteps the mark by even 2 or 3 inches, he might not have a car for race 2.
Okay, this group 2, Daniel Nadge is actually pulling away from Chilton by the looks.
Yep.
I mean, the Hondas are a bit lighter than the Citroens, but that surprises me.
Yeah, all the Citroens with 50 kilos of ballast, because it was the car that won last year's championship, but not being run by a factory team, so little change to the rules. It's come down from 80 to 50 kilos. And they'll run heavier as well in our second race weekend in Monza in Italy, and then the third race weekend, and then we will start to see the balance of performance changing to reflect the actual, this year, real-world performance of all the other cars.
Yeah, Banani's not crawling all over the back of Ted Bjorg either. You know, all the Citroens don't seem super aggressive.
Guys, brakes are going down. Brakes are going down.
Well, didn't get much out of that other than brake.
Yeah, brakes are going away. Brakes are going away.
Well,
this is what we expected.
We heard that he'd broken his handbrake somehow on the line. Now that's like your car handbrake. It's a lever. It's vertical rather than horizontal. You pull it backwards rather than lifting it up. But on the other hand, that could be utterly unrelated. You know, just a...
No, Martin, this is pure temperature related.
Yeah. But he's got... It's like being in a wet race where the leader has the only decent visibility. He's got the only clear airflow going into his cooling tank.
Guerrieri's brakes aren't going too, because he's not got the airflow in front of the car. The cars are very, very similar in spec.
Same car, run by two different teams, possibly two different brake manufacturers, two different pad compounds. So you know, in there somewhere, maybe Roal go with, I don't know, Brembo, maybe, you know, somebody else in the Campos car. So that might be that might be a little difference there.
Oh, Tom!
And the pedal just went to the floor there, didn't it? He went for the middle pedal and there was no one home, and that's exactly what they feared. 3 laps, they said, would be all that the Chevy brakes could deal with. He joins at the back of the queue, and so now an Argentine driver may end up winning the first race of the championship.
And leading the championship.
Oh boy, and not a 2-time Argentine touring car champion, Nesta Girolami. However, let's not get ahead of ourselves here, because if Coronel's car's running out of brakes, so too are all the ones behind him, predominantly Esteban Guerrieri. However, now, suddenly he's got, it's like somebody's opened the window, he's got some clear airflow.
Martin, not just that, but would that be the first win for Campos?
Oh, good question.
Oh,
good question.
Tom, he gave it away, man.
Well, when the brakes aren't there, they're just not there.
No, but you just drive accordingly, don't you?
Yeah. Well, he
That's easy me to say.
He was driving according to how much retardation he had last time he went for the middle pedal. Remember, we used to get those footbox shots of Alain Menu. He'd always... Yeah. No brakes, no brakes. Menu would always touch the brake pedal before he got onto it, before he got off the throttle, to be certain that there was firmness there.
But Martin, the teams know this track is incredibly hard on the brakes. They know the temperature they can encounter here. So they've been having this problem for the last couple of years. Why do they not look into it?
Well, they do, but perhaps there's just no more airflow you can get in. Don't forget, that would mean you'd have to homologate a whole new front bumper. And Chevrolet as a manufacturer...
No, but that you have pad materials, etc., which can go into extreme temperature ranges like they use in NASCAR on the short tracks.
I don't doubt that they're doing what they can. Coronel's dropped way out from the group, so Daniel Nudge is going to get by him soon. There's Tom.
Got bits hanging. I'll tell you what, Coronel's falling back to Nudge now.
Yeah.
And Chilton.
Yeah. Tom's best lap, a 25.1. His last, a 1 minute 30.2. And so within a lap or two, either he'll be in the pits or once the group behind go by, which will be within the next lap, he may as well just come into the pits.
That last lap time was his running wide as well, so it'd be interesting to see. He is dropping back to him though.
Yeah. Well, Daniel Nudge is how far off the lead? I can't read my timing screen. 2.9 seconds off, and that's how far back from the lead Tom Coronel
the
has
Chevy
gone.
really running wide, but he looks comfortable. Volvo's not putting him under any threat at the moment, is it?
Well, Björk's no nearer at all. You know, maybe a millimetre or two, but no closer. Last time round, 25.2 for Guerrieri, 25.5 for Ted Björk. Last time round, Tom Coronel, 127.7. So 2.5 seconds slower than he was doing when he had brakes. And that's the ironic thing, isn't it? The less braking you've got, the slower your car is.
Yeah.
Because you've got to get on the brakes longer, which means you're off the throttle, which means the straights are shorter and the corners are longer.
You've got to expect Esteban Guerrieri's Chevy has got to run into similar sort of brake problems before long. Maybe he's just managing it a lot better.
Well, there is our former leader, Tom Coronel, in the battle for 7th. Daniel Nudge now all over the back of him. Tom Chilton is there. I don't think he was expecting to be 2 cars behind Tom Coronel at this stage of the race, and certainly not in a battle for 7th rather than a battle for the lead.
Coronel's so slow, it's going to slow Nudge up. So is that going to give Chilton the good, or, you know, Girolami a good opportunity to throw it down the inside and see if they can pick up some valuable points?
Well, again, Girolami has to be careful. If he gets a tag from somebody and ends up in the wall, he is starting 2nd for the main race. Focus.
Martin, you need every point. Andy Priau showed that.
Exactly right. But shunting in the opening race means you're not going to get anything out of race 2. I agree. If it's a clear choice, go for it. If it's a half chance, leave it. Björk in 2nd place, and the first of those 2 blue Polestar Volvos, is driving his entire race on his own, isn't he? Completely oblivious of what the Chevys are doing in terms of line or whatever. He is driving to maintain his car. He's on the other side of the track. He's in clear air. Look at him, he's paying no attention to what Chilton's doing. Oh, Chilton's having a go at Daniel Nudge.
Good man.
Exactly as you said, Nudge getting bottled up behind has slowed him down.
Drag race Citroen against Honda down there.
So Coronel and Chilton, former teammates.
Chilton's got the inside.
Yep. Can he get it stopped? Yes, he can. So Chilton now moves up to 8th place.
Problem is, Chilton's now going to get bottled up behind Coronel.
Now in 6th position, the back of this queue, is Thiago Monteiro, who is likely just sitting there going, la-di-da, la-di-da, points for 6th, and I'm on pole for the main race. That'll do. That's not a bad start to anybody's championship.
Good move by Chilton, very opportunistic.
Yeah. Just waiting for that moment where Daniel Nudge drifted wide, got alongside him down the back stretch, and then into turn 11, through he went.
Oh, look at that. Nice clean move.
Yep, there was room, there was no touch. Chilton made sure there was no touch on the exit as well. He wanted all the power on the road, and through he went. Now he's got to have a look at Coronel. Tom Coronel still doing 1:27.5s. That's restricting everybody behind. The race leader, Esteban Guerrieri, 1:25.5s.
Campos team looking very excited, aren't they?
Well, actually, that's...
So they know the race is going on.
No, that's one of Tom's guys, isn't it, from Roal down at Zengo.
Oh, Nudge is coming back at Chilton again now.
Yeah, but he's on the outside there, and that's not going to really work.
Chilton, you can see his Citroen squirming under the brakes.
Well, Nudge is now in the same position that Chilton was, isn't he, where he's stuck. You know, he's behind Chilton. He can afford to maybe throw a move down the inside. Guerrieri still leads. The gap is 0.6 of a second to Ted Björk. Björk is getting no closer, but Guerrieri there has a bigger lock-up than previously. 17 laps down. Well, John Philippi, good news for him is that Sebastian Loeb Racing have changed the front end of his car, rear end of his car, whichever it was, I forget now, and he has rejoined the race. Rob Huff still in the pits. There's John Philippi in the Oscaro Citroen. Must remember not to say Chevrolet this year. Jan Elachet. The car, I'm sure, still in the RC Motorsport Lada garage. RC Motorsport, incidentally, is a team created by all the guys who were in the Lada camp last year. So they know the cars well. And Max, their chief engineer, is the guy who's leading that outfit. Esteban Guerrieri still leading. Coronel now getting a little hurry up from Tom Chilton. Chilton giving a bit of a rub under braking because Chilton's expecting to brake later And Coronel's having to brake earlier and earlier. Chilton also doesn't want to be jumped again by Daniel Nadge, does he?
Doesn't want to be jumped.
Yeah. Bad enough to go from 3rd position down to 8th without being bumped back down to 9th again.
Back over the finish line, 3 laps to go for these boys.
Well, Aurelien Panis still in the race in 11th, so just a little out of the points. But if anything goes wrong with any of these guys, Panis will score points on his debut. In fact, Chilton lost it under braking there, Matt, and slid into the back of Coronel.
I think Coronel's just braking earlier and earlier and earlier, just trying to get his... Oh, he's through as well. Good move again.
Now, unfortunately for Daniel Nadge, the door wasn't opened far enough by Tom Chilton sticking his foot in, and Coronel knew enough to let him go and then close the door behind him.
Now, Chilton should be able to bolt from this group now. Salvage something, considering he was slow off the start.
Yeah. So Chilton up to 7th place and just wants to get away, even a few car lengths would do, to get away from Tom Coronel. Esteban Guerrieri still leading by half a second. Ted Björk bringing the gap down a fraction. Completed 17 laps, this is lap 18. And here's the move here, Chilton down into the long left-hand hairpin, corner 3.
Got his nose in.
Yep.
Nicely done.
There's Mum, Dad and the rest of the team watching. Oh! And Daniel Nadge drifts out wide into the wall. Doesn't damage the rear corner, it looks like.
I think that's a little bit damaged, Martin.
Now then, I said Aurelien Panis would be in the points if anything happens.
Bjork's running.
Oh, and look at the other Volvo as well. Suddenly Nicky Katzberg has a big lock-up as well. Daniel Nadge is off. And these are points potentially for his teammate Aurelien Panis. Yeah, finally the rear suspension broke. And there's Panis in the background, moving up into 10th place. Big smile on his dad's face. Not unsympathetic to Daniel Nadge's predicament, but it does mean that Olivier Panis' son is now into the points in his first race. And Aurelien Panis, Yann Elochet, the other rookie who's never driven in World Touring cars even once, he has got LMP3 experience. He raced in the Volkswagen Scirocco Cup on the DTM support program, so he's got roof over his head experience. Aurelien Panis is straight out of open-wheeler single-seaters into this on a street circuit. And Matt, the very worst thing he could do is overstep and destroy the car against the walls at any stage in the weekend. So he's been very conservative.
I think all the younger drivers, Martin, have been impeccable so far. They've really stood up to the plate well.
But unfortunately, we're hearing from RC Motorsport that damage is too much, and Yann Elochet will not be able to have his car fixed in time for the main race. So unfortunately for the young Frenchman, there will be no racing for him here in Marrakesh. It's a real shame because I thought he produced a good qualifying effort to go 10th fastest. They're going to leave the 99 car out of the way, Daniel Nadge. So everybody knows it's there.
So that's final lap now, and that's yellow flag in that sector, so it's no overtaking there. All he's got to do is keep his head, and he's going to get his first touring car win.
Well, we're ringing the changes, aren't we? After 3 years of domination by an Argentine driver who won the opening race of the season and was never headed, an Argentine driver is going to win the opening race of the season.
I thought we got rid of that Argentinian flag for a bit.
Well, we're just changing seats, aren't we? But Esteban Guerrieri, I have a very good point. Not sure whether Campos Racing have never won a World Touring Car Championship race, says Neil Hudson of Touring Car Times, though they won a few when they were sun-red. Good point in the Seat days. But for Campos Racing and for Esteban Guerrieri, victory in the opening race in Marrakesh. Ted Björk takes the podium in second place. Vamonos! Tom Chilton comes across the line in 7th, but the happiest bunnies there are the Campos Racing team. Tom Coronel, what might have been 8th place, not victorious. Campos Racing claim their first World Touring Car Championship win. And completing the podium here at home, Mehdi Banani. Well, there is something different, isn't there? Either behind the wheel, in what he's doing with the car, Esteban Guerrieri, or in the braking system somewhere, because his car held up all the way and Tom Coronel's car didn't. And Coronel had the advantage for half the race of clear airflow, better braking, cooling. But in the end, victory went to aggressive Esteban. Esteban Guerrieri had a smile on his face when Alex Legui caught up with him before the race. He's going to have a huge ear-splitting grin on his face when Alex Legui catches up with him after the race. Debut as a full season driver, and he wins the opening race here in Marrakesh. That is the way to open the batting, isn't it? Tebjerg second for Cyan Racing Polestar Volvo, and Mehdi Benani takes the third place for Sebastian Loeb Racing in his Citroën. And the little contact he had earlier on to get in front of Nicky Katzberg on the opening lap, that was exactly what he needed to move up the order. That leaves him on the podium in the first of the two encounters here on his home track. And just to recap, Mehdi will start in 5th place for the main race.
As I've been notified from Bill Pinch that Pepe Oriola won for Campos, but it was pre-TC1 regulations.
So that was Campos Racing, okay. All right, there we go. Well, we'll argue the toss of that one later. What we can't deny is that Campos were jubilant, and Esteban Guerrieri will be equally so. Charming chap, very quick peddler, and a winner in our opening race. And of course, a shared language between the Spaniards of Campos Racing and the Argentine. See how recently he's come to this. He's got a new 2017 spec helmet, hasn't even had a chance to get it painted. And there the crowd overlooking the pit lane. So our opening race winner, Esteban Guerrieri. What a great start to his season. 25 points on the board. Fantastic stuff. Hot work, but you don't care so much if you're Guerrieri compared to if you're Coronel. Tom Coronel out of the car, but not, unfortunately, in winner's circle. Victory goes to the man who started second, Esteban Guerrieri. And Alex Legui is down with him in Parc Fermé.
What a way to start the race for Campos Racing. What a way to start the season for Campos Racing. And this gentleman here, Esteban Guerrieri, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you. All the team Campos made it possible. We just made a deal a couple of weeks ago to be here, and now we are winning the first race. So well, it's some incredible feelings going through me. Thanks to my family, to all my friends in Argentina. They are watching through Fox Sports, of course. Thanks everybody, and well, now we prepare for the second one, but we have the first one in our pocket.
Talk us through what went through your head when you saw poor old Tom Coronel losing his brakes.
Yeah, well, I saw Tom locking up the rears quite a bit. It looked like he was having a bit of trouble with the brakes and with his balance, so I just waited. I pressured a little bit, but also my car was, you know, losing brakes, losing performance, but apparently less than his, and then he did a mistake around of the brakes. Probably, I'm sorry for Tom. He's a great guy, but well, this is racing. He for sure will have the revanche.
Congratulations, great start to the season.
Well, not just his friends and family, but Jose Maria Lopez also watching at home in Argentina.
Martin, if you close your eyes, he even sounds like Pachito.
Yeah. Well, he's got all the aggression, and like Pachito, a very solid single-seater background behind him. So, yeah, Jose Maria Lopez a minute ago tweeting his congratulations to Esteban Guerrieri. Victory in the World Touring Car Championship. Vamos, Bebu Girolami in the main race, he says. Well, Girolami is going to be starting on the outside of the front row of the grid. But Esteban Guerrieri at the moment is our championship leader with 25 points tucked in his back pocket. Rob Huff failed to complete the race. John Philippi did get back out. Huff didn't. Rio Michigami's car didn't. And Yann O'Shea, unfortunately, will not compete in race 2 either. But this is the key moment. Tom Coronel's brakes just vanished into the ether. The brake pedal went all the way to the floor. And you can hear Matt there.
Lost the front brakes.
Also trying to use the gearbox to slow it down.
He's lucky he didn't turn him into the wall, to be fair. Yeah, you lose the temperature range goes out of whack on the front brakes. You lose the retardation off the front. You can compensate it either by winding more to the front, which ultimately accentuates the problem, or more to the back to try and give yourself more bias. But then that accentuates the problem as well, but can actually give you some more longevity to try and get to the end of the race. But the only way solution really is driving with your head and less pressure on the right foot, or left foot if you're left foot braking. So.
Well, he was clearly bottling them up. Coronel was driving as slowly as he could. Esteban Guerrieri, our points leader from Ted Björk and Mehdi Banani. Thiago Montero finishing there in 6th place, but he also got 5 points for pole position, so he's 4th in the standings, top Honda driver. So we've got Chevrolet leading, or a Chevy driver leading, from a Volvo driver, from a Citroen driver, from a Honda driver. Excellent, exactly what we want, exactly what we were hoping for this season, or hoping for from this season, is a host of different winners. And we start out with victory for a man who might now, already 1 into 24 races, be starting to think, I could do this more often, I could enjoy winning. Well, Yann O'Shea will be hoping for more luck next time out in Monza. Race 2 start will be delayed by 15 minutes because of our long main opening race. The main race will be knocked back a little because we have to still refuel the cars, rehydrate the drivers, Matt Neal, which is going to be really critical as well after, nearly an hour sweltering in their cars already.
Yeah, the cockpit temperatures will be in excess of 60 degrees C, so some of the drivers have got the cooling systems, some haven't. So again, as you say, rehydration and hydrating before the races is absolutely paramount.
Final word on the Have Campos Ever Won Before contest from Neil Hudson at Touring Car Times. When they won before, it was 20 racing, not Campos.
Here, the race in Morocco, Circuit Moulay El Hassan. Please put your hands together for our drivers. In 3rd position from Sebastian Loeb Racing is Mehdi Banani.
Well, as you can see, Alex been told to introduce Mehdi, and unfortunately, he's still been glad-handing in the garage and legging it up to the podium. So, meanwhile, Daniel Nagy's car is recovered.
Ladies and gentlemen. Let's try it one more time. Put your hands together for local hero, Mehdi Banani.
A good start to the season for Mehdi as well. At home, first podium of the year.
Racing, it's Ted Björk.
Björk a little under-impressed with his own performance compared to his teammates yesterday. However, you get more points for races than you do for qualifying.
Of the first round of the World Touring Car Championship 2017 from Campos Racing is Esteban Guerrieri.
So Jose Maria Lopez has handed on the baton, hasn't he? And Guerrieri has picked it up and run with it.
On the WTCC trophy, Campos Racing once again is Esteban Guerrieri.
So Guerrieri scores his first win in World Touring Cars.
Becomes
the 2nd Argentine to win. Argentina now with 30 wins. 1 for Esteban, 19 for Pachito. 29 for Pachito, beg your pardon.
And now the national anthem for Esteban Guerrieri and Campos Racing. trophy to our third place Mehdi Banani is Mr. Adil Ziadi, Director of Oil and Gas, Africa.
Well, what an emotional day for Mehdi Banani. Sadly lost his father during the winter and very nearly retired.
Ziadi will also present our second position trophy to Ted Bjerg.
No time for emotion just yet, though. There's another main race to be done. Ted Bjerg takes second place in the first race of the year.
And the Mayor of the Communal Council of Marrakesh, Mr. Fouad Houri, will present the trophy to our winning driver, Esteban Guerrieri.
Well, that's a big old trophy to get back in the overhead locker on the way to Argentina, but Guerrieri won't care where it goes. He has his hands on his first World Touring Car Championship win.
Mr. Fouad will also present the trophy to our WTCC trophy winner, once again, Esteban Guerrieri.
And not being a factory driver, he's also leading the independent standings from Mehdi Banani. Third in the independents will be Tom Chilton. Fourth, Tom Coronel.
Mr. Fouad will now present the trophy to our winning manufacturer, to Chevrolet.
So Campos Racing claim their first World Touring Car Championship race win. Chevrolet still winning. When did RML first put pen to paper on the Chevy Cruze?
WTCC official photograph.
Well, understandably, a lot of love here for Mehdi Banani. And there's a happy-looking podium, isn't it? So now a chance to get out of the heat, at least a little bit, peel off the overalls, and rehydrate themselves quickly. Well, Matt Neal, dream start to the championship for Esteban Guerrieri. Okay, reverse grid and all of that. I don't think he expects, and Campos won't expect, to be in the top 5 shootout and win it against factory teams, but winning races is winning races, and that's a big step for them.
It is, Martin. I think they come in here with no preconception. It's just every result is a bonus, and I don't think they ever thought in their wildest dreams they were going to come to Morocco and walk away with a race victory, whether it be on a reverse grid or a normal grid. It's still a race victory and goes down in the record books as, you know, as that.
Yep.
So it's, hey, they've just got to enjoy the plaudits while they get it. And
Exactly.
if they can get another one this year, he drove impeccably. He didn't put a foot wrong. The Chevrolet obviously had a weakness around here, which Coronel showed. He mastered it, got round it. You know, it's his first time here, so good boy. You know, it bodes well going into the rest of the season.
And in the end, a deal that came together really at the last minute has yielded fruit immediately. So you saw there the Independence Trophy, the WTCC Trophy podium as well. Esteban Guerrieri winning from Mehdi Banani and Tom Chilton. As we said, Tom Coronel gets points there for 4th place, ahead of Aurelian Panis, 5th in the Independence Trophy, ahead of his teammate Daniel Nagy. So Rob Huff, disappointing start of the season for him. 0 points and only 2 laps completed.
It started yesterday, then in qualifying.
Esteban Guerrieri there with Richard Rogers, the FIA media delegate, giving his version of proceedings. Jan Ellershay's car closest to the camera there. No work going on that. That nobody's allowed to touch any of these cars at the moment until the refueling time begins in 3 minutes 50 seconds. But yeah, we've already heard from the garage that Ellershay will not go out for the second race, and a little bit of a shame for his rookie weekend. Olivier Panis, the other raw rookie, has never raced in World Touring Cars before. Of course, Rio Michigami raced last year in Motegi, and Nesta Girolami's now done 4 races, and Esteban Guerrieri has done 4 weekends. Nesta Girolami and Esteban Guerrieri with 1 race weekend under his belt previously as well in Argentina, so he at least had a tiny bit of experience. And now on the phone, see, this was exactly what we had with Pachito for the last 3 years. On the phone, to the radio, to the broadcasters, to mum and dad, to the sponsors, it's just endless. Endless phone calls back home between the races. And a very happy Argentine. Saw there in the background as well. There's Francois, the man who runs the championship. And I'm sure he's very happy with that as well. And for Fox Sports Latin America, what a great opportunity. You know, they bid goodbye to Pachito, must have thought, well, what's going to happen to our audience now? And suddenly they've got another Argentine winning, day 1. So that's going to re-spark all sorts of interest back in Latin America, again in the World Touring Car Championship. Two minutes till repair time starts. And there is your race 1 winner. The opening race falling to Argentina's Esteban Guerrieri. In the next 15 minutes, cars will be refueled, retired. The brakes will be bled if they need it, and some of them may do. Cars like Daniel Nagy's will have to have last-minute damage sorted out. He clipped the wall, and then the rear suspension came apart. And Daniel Nagy, the green and grey number 99 car, right in the centre of the bottom of your shot there, they're now up against the gun. If that had happened 6 laps earlier, they'd have had a whole host of time in the opening race to fix it, as Rob Huff's team have, the all-inkle car. Although the door is open on Huff's car, didn't know, maybe it was open when it went into Parc Fermé. We'll have to wait and see, or whether he's going to be dropped to the back of the grid or not. Selfie time for Mehdi Banani. And repair time will start in a minute. Don't think anything's going to happen to the 68 car. Jan Elaché probably already changed into his civvies. Unfortunately, his weekend ended when John Philippi stalled in front of him. John Philippi's car didn't sustain so much damage. It was hit at the back, limped into the pit lane. The car was fixed, sent back out in the opening race, so he should be able to take his position on the main race grid. But Jan Elaché will not be there alongside him. Worry a little bit about the presence of Daniel Nagy as well in the 99 Zengo Motorsport Honda. And Rob Huff as well, he reported on the radio when he came into the pits behind the safety car, and everybody, well, half the field followed him in, which is what split our race up into 2 groups. He had a power steering failure. Something was clearly overheating very seriously under the bonnet. And Jan
Which, Martin, I'm not sure is there's something they're going to be able to fix in a hurry, so that might be a bad omen for Rob.
I agree. Well, Jan Alaché's car is going up in the air. Now, we had heard that it was not going back out again. We'll have to wait. And well, let's get down to RC Motorsport. Alex Legui is with Jan Elaché. Let's get the current state of play.
A very disappointed looking Jan Elaché. Can you talk us through what happened and what the situation is now with your car?
I take a good start, very good start, but John in front of me just forget to start, or he stalled, I don't know. And it was too short. There is not enough room on the right side to go. On the left side there was Rio. So I tried to go somewhere, but it was just impossible to avoid. So I just hit him, some damage in the front right. And the guys did a very good job to fix it, so I will be able to go for the second race.
That's good news, because we were under the impression that you might not be able to start.
Yeah, I was thinking so, because the impact was quite hard, but yeah, they did a really good job, and yeah, now I will be on the start.
Okay, that's very, very good news. And you're okay, fit and healthy?
Yeah, perfect. I'm perfect. Just a bit some disappointment, but that's... Thank you.
Well, Elaché then, very good to hear, will start the main race. And Aurelian Panis has also moved up the grid because saw the door open on Rob Huff's car, which is not usual during Parc Fermé. And the reason it was open is they're still working on Huff's car. So they've taken Huff's car out of Parc Fermé, which means he goes to the back of the grid, was supposed to start the main race in 4th place. So, Matt, that's a double blow for him. I mean, that's a double bogey. He didn't get anything in race 1, and he's now, if the car's fixed, going to start at the back of race 2.
Oh, Martin, I mean, it's such a shame for Huffy because he was really looking forward to this weekend. He's, you know, his tail was up, he was full of beans, and it's absolutely been rotten from him right from the word go, from the missing free practice 1 to being on the back foot and not getting the track time, and then power steering failing in race 2. If he gets out, I mean in race 1, if he gets out for race 2, we've just seen how difficult it is to overtake round here. He's going to flog his guts out and might come away with a 10th place if he's lucky. So, you know, he was looking for race wins this weekend, not you know, not a 10th place. And you know, now with more points available for the main race as it is this year, it's a double whammy. You know, it's a big chunk he's lost right from the word go. If it was a normal circuit, he'd have a chance of overtaking people, but it's just too tight round here.
So it's going to be a struggle that Rob Huff had not anticipated. Brakes being played on John Phillippi's car. They, as you saw, they've had the magic gaffer tape out to hold the back of the car together, pumping all the brakes. And Huff's car, you see his dad in the background looking fairly disconsolate. Not an awful lot of work going on. Doors are open, but there's nobody near the car. I'm not sure Rob Huff's going out at all. There's Rob Huff's car, no sign of work. This is very bad news indeed for the former world champion. Alex Legui's with him now.
This is not how you saw the weekend was going to be going.
No, but you know, it's racing, it happens. Unfortunately, you know, the steering rack broke. Had to avoid chili off the start, so got a bit of a bad start, and just going in through turn 3, Michigami braked really early, like amazingly early. So I lifted off, went to the left of him, and as I went left of him, he turned left, and he hit me that hard he broke the steering rack, which is something I don't think we've ever seen before. So, but I had nowhere to go. I was, you know, going up the inside of him, and yeah, not ideal, but boys have done an amazing job. New steering rack, car's ready to go.
The car is ready to go.
We'll be starting at the back, but the car's ready to go.
All right, well, that's good news.
Yeah, but it was crash damage. I was, you know, it had me puzzled because they didn't have a problem with any of that last year, and to suddenly happen in race 1.
You know, Citroën spent an entire day bashing cars into each other before they came into the championship to try and eradicate all of those sorts of problems. I don't think we ever saw.
I'm impressed they can change a rack in that time, though.
Well, and we talked about this yesterday in qualifying, how serviceable the cars are, courtesy of their rally heritage in the design, is you can swing the uprights out of the way. They're hinged to get out of the way for access to stuff under the engine.
Martin, we just need to make a note to go down and check what flight Huffy's getting home tomorrow, because the way his luck's going, I'm going to be on a different plane.
Yeah. Well, he needs a little bit more luck in this second encounter. What he's not going to get is any better temperatures. Refueling is being done. Tyres will go on the car, at least enough to get it out of the pit lane and onto the grid. Rear Michigami, look, you can see the state of his mechanics. They have spent a sweaty, sweltering hour under that car fixing it for race 2. Lots and lots of brake bleeding bottles being applied to every car up and down the grid, pumping through fresh fluid, Matt, that hasn't had all that heat in it. And that's, you know, it's like a blood transfusion, isn't it? It's all clean, it's all unheat cycled, and hopefully it'll give them... I mean, they've even got brake discs ready to go on as well.
We even, to put it into context for people, when they talk about the temperatures of the brakes and everything, these brakes on the front of these things, they will be running at their peak in excess of 1,000 degrees C. You know, steel melts at 1,500, aluminium melts at 600 to 700. So that's the, you know, it is massive, the temperatures. So when the pad material, it is a very complex, you know, very black art of what they come up with, you know, the brake manufacturers come up with. And because they're all so sealed in, you know, they try and seal the front of these up to get straight line aero. It has a negative effect on the brakes, and they try and redirect the air through them. But especially on a circuit like this where you've got such high temperatures and the walls in between. So it's the wind's picking up now. It's got a bit of a tailwind down the start-finish straight, but that's doing nothing to abate the temperature here.
No, not much at all. Well, good news for Jan Ellershey, for his mum Kathy Muller, and for Uncle Ivan is that he is heading out. Good news too for Huff fans everywhere is that he is heading out towards the grid in the Munich Motorsport Citroën. You know, and there is another one of the cars that is a definite championship contender, a definite race win contender, possibly not now in the main race here though. Daniel Nagy, there'll be work to do on the back of his car. The other green and grey car you can see there, Aurelien Panis. Well, his car survived with no damage. Just had a little brief chat with his dad, who's next to us, Olivier Panis, and I said, hey, he got points in his first race. He said, I don't think Olivier breathed much during that race. He probably didn't do much commentating either. I think Jacques Léonis, the lead announcer,
Hey,
on Eurosport
he does
France,
sound like
carried
Ivan,
it.
though, doesn't he? He does sound like Ivan.
Ellershey, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And possibly that's the regional accent. It's almost like Ivan is his dad, which he isn't. He's only his uncle. But and Kathy doesn't. Obviously, Kathy doesn't sound like Ivan, but she doesn't have that same intonation. She doesn't even have the same pronunciation of English words that Ivan does, but Jan does.
Yeah, but Martin, when Alex asks him a question, if it's something he's not really comfortable, you get that Ivan Gaelic shrug where...
And it's it's
even the shape of his lips.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's quite spooky. In the same way that both my sons are mini me, and sound like me. In the same way that my aunt never could tell when she phoned when I lived at home whether it was me or my father on the phone. Her own brother, she couldn't tell the difference between me and him. But Jan's got a remarkable similarity to Ivan. And of course, although Ivan is advising the Volvo team, which is probably why he's not being run by Ivan Muller Racing, although he is in European Le Mans Series, Ivan is always there as a sounding board.
So is Jan doing European Le Mans Series?
He's doing European Le Mans Series, Michelin GT3 Cup. So he's an LMP3 Norma, and he's doing this.
Crikey, he's going to be a busy boy this year.
And no clashes. Oh, no, one clash. So he misses one ELMS weekend to go to the Nürburgring.
Car is good, guys. Well done. Fantastic job. Thank you. Car is good.
But Huffy saying...
First bit of good news for the weekend for Huffy.
Yeah, Huffy saying after testing, he said, I can see why the Citroën boys always look so pleased at race weekends. He said, I have never driven a racing car of any kind that is better at doing what it does than the Citroën. He said, every other touring car he's ever driven has its own little foibles, its own quirks. He said, this car does everything, but everything.
It's not good at bumping wheel to wheel with Hondas though, is it?
If you get a whack, obviously in the right place, you can still break it.
Daniel Nagy's Honda's back. It looks almost good to go. Coronel, he's got a... I thought he was doing a really good job early on. Yep. I thought he was pacing himself, using his head and everything, and then... just shows, doesn't it?
Well, again, that's a catch-up later, isn't it, to find out from the two teams, from Roal and Coronel's side, and from Campos and Guerrieri's side, what brake supplier they're using even. And I know it's the same car.
10 laps in, I actually thought he was bottling him up nicely, just running his own pace. I would have put good amounts of money on him winning that race. He should have won that race.
Yep.
He dropped the ball massively.
See, I'm not sure he did anything wrong. He was driving as slowly as he possibly can, commensurate with actually not getting overtaken for the lead, and yet he still had no brakes. And it's not like he's never driven a car before. However, as we head to the grid, cars are leaving the pits at a rate. Nesta Girolami, what a chance for... Could we have two Argentine drivers winning here? Never had that before in World Touring cars. But having had...
we get rid of Pachito and then we get two of them.
Yeah, they double up.
It's a tag team.
Well, there is Jan Ellershey on the grid. Driven round and getting the helmet off to try and keep himself nice and cool, waiting for the team. As Max and the boys arriving. Out goes Tom Coronel. And Tom will move up the grid a little as Rob Huff heads to the back. Daniel Nudge also, I think, heading to the back. Aurelian Panis then will move up a couple of spots. Zoltan Zengo there you saw. He's pretty happy. Daniel Nudge not yet back in the car. And they've got 3 minutes until he's got to be out of the pit lane. There's Kathy Muller, and you can see Jan's sister is absolutely a cookie-cutter replica of her mother. If you never saw Kathy racing single-seaters, she raced right up to Formula 3000, raced in the Formula 3 and French Formula 3 Championship, Euro F3 as well. And that's what she looked like when she was younger. Daniel Nudge waiting to go. Team boss Zoltan Zengo, who of course was responsible for bringing Norbert Mikulits into the championship. And Guerrieri, the Campos Racing car, has stopped in the fast lane. So Nicky Katzberg wriggles round him to go to the practice start box. And for Nesta Girolami, this is going to be a really vital practice start. Looks like Guerrieri's car has stalled. They're going to push him back out of the way. So it might be a last moment drama for him.
Well, with those results, Volvo sneaked out an early lead in the Manufacturers' Championship over Honda. So with Montero on pole, and Michelin's not far behind. They need to gang up on Girolami and see if they can dig into that points lead Volvo's got.
Well, let's see what Girolami's start looks like. Let's not look.
Maybe not. We'll go on to something else. He's gone.
Well, yeah, he has gone. At least it didn't stall, so no John Philippi issues there for him. Getting into the queue.
I couldn't believe how many of them did have starting issues on that first race.
So Philippi stalled completely. Chilton didn't get off the line. Michigami didn't get off the line. Who else? Oh, hang on a minute. Why is Huff in front of El Haché?
Because he completed more distance and he was in front of him, wasn't he?
I suppose, yes, he did start, didn't he?
And he's in front of John Philippi, but
yeah, well,
wasn't his car worked during Parc Fermé? Maybe John Philippi's was as well.
No, maybe Huff's wasn't worked on during Parc Fermé.
He did more distance than the pair of them, though, didn't he?
Yeah.
Because he did do
but hang on a minute. If the car wasn't taken out of Parc Fermé, why is he not starting fourth on the grid, which is his grid spot? So he's been moved back.
Yeah, because he didn't do Parc Fermé.
But Philippi's car was running, so...
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. It went out at the beginning.
John Philippi's car was repaired and went back out in race 2. So it was repaired. So why would they then have to take him out of Parc Fermé unless it wasn't fixed and they had to bring it back in and fix it again?
Yeah, fair point.
And Jan El Haché,
I'll give you that one,
presumably out of Parc Fermé. So the 3 cars on the back all must have broken Parc Fermé. So Esteban Guerrieri there you can see still in the pit lane, and the pit lane closes in 6 seconds. So he's going to make a pit lane start.
Well, it's probably
and
Nudge as well.
Yeah, well, if he starts, look, they're still trying to replace the rear corner on Daniel Nudge's car. So they have not beaten the gun, and they will both be in the pit lane at the start. And it looks like Guerrieri has not got fire in the hold.
Well, that's good news for Huffy, because he's got 2 behind him. He's got 2 in the pit lane, so that's...
Yep.
That's a fair bit up the grid.
So effectively, he's got 4 cars behind him, so he's not starting 4th. He's effectively 11th. So he's only 1 out of a point. However, it's not quite plan A, is it?
It'll be interesting because he should be... well, we had Girolami at the back. He was light and he struggled to make progress, didn't he?
Lots of heads under the bonnet. RML shirts there, the grey. Trying to figure out what's up with Campos. So we know Rob broke Parc Fermé, that's why he's not 4th on the grid. And we must assume also, therefore, that John Philippi and SLR broke Parc Fermé for his car, and RC Motorsport broke Parc Fermé for Jan El Haché's car. 2 cars still in the pit lane. There are no sparks. The engine is not running in Esteban Guerrieri's car, so race 1 winner may not start race 2 here. And Daniel Nudge, Well, they're working on his car still. They haven't given up. There's another 10 minutes before the race starts, and they can work on it all that time. He doesn't have to make it out onto the grid. He can just be at the end of the pit lane, ready to go. But either way, it's been a topsy-turvy weekend. 32 degrees of air temperature, track now at 50. And it's not really going to lose much of that heat, Matt. We've been here this time of the afternoon for the last couple of days. And it is fair to say it stays scorchio until about 6 or 7 in the evening, and it's 5:45. Here's our grid then. Thiago Monteiro, the DHL pole sitter for the main race, his 4th career pole ahead of Volvo's Nestor Girolami. Norbert Michelitz lines up 3rd with Mehdi Benani on the podium in race 1 beside him. Benani could go away from here as the points leader. Katzberg and Björk for Volvo, 5th and 6th on the grid, ahead of Chilton and a space. Coronel won't move up because Guerrieri is trapped in the pit lane and the grid's been set. So Coronel will start with a space alongside him. The gaps are opening up nicely for Aurelian Panis in the Zengo Motorsport Honda. There are 2 empty rows in front of him. Michigami will be beside him. And then Rob Huff, John Philippi and Jan Ellershey, who all broke Parc Ferme, have been sent further back. But for Aurelian Panis, there's like, what's that, 50 metres of empty track ahead of him, getting on for 100 metres of empty track ahead of him, where other cars will obviously try and make a little move. Michigami is ahead of him and to the side, but he's got room to manoeuvre.
I don't know why they haven't reissued the grid in that respect.
Too late. When cars are out on the grid, you can't re-grid, or you can mess around.
Oh, it's the 2 who are in the pit lane, isn't it?
Yes,
yeah.
You can mess around endlessly. And our championship leader then will not start on the grid. So Esteban Guerrieri, who should have been where? I can't see him now, I've gone blind. 9th, will start in the pit lane. And of course, Huffy's got a couple of points.
Means Coronel's got a nice empty piece of track. He's got no one in front of him, no one behind him.
Yeah, at least starting off. There's your DHL pole sitter for the main race. Now, our grid graphic had the pole sitter on the left as they come towards us, but in fact he's on the right as we look down the straight as he comes towards us. Driver's left.
Which will be the inside for turn 1.
Yes, exactly. So everything we saw on the graphic, in fact, was I can't use that phrase, can I? Transposed. Side to side, so it was odd versus even, even versus odd. But Thiago Monteiro, 4th career pole. And
for me was a little bit low power.
Right, I didn't get the gist of that. Something was low power from Nestor Girolami. That's not really what you want to hear when your driver reports from 2nd on the grid. Safety car driver Bruno Carrera there in the doorway, and the tall figure alongside him is our race director Miroslav Bartek. And Mirek was just getting ready to release the safety car, of course, when Rob Huff dived into the pit lane. And if you say, well, why did everybody else follow him? Well, because the safety car had led them through the pit lane to avoid this damaged car on the pit straight for a couple of laps, and so why would they not have gone into the pit lane the 3rd time? And they came around a blind corner, and as Huff dived into the pit lane, they went straight ahead following him, didn't look to their right, because why would you? Because the car in front's gone into pit lane. They didn't realise that all the rest of the field had gone down the main straight, and Huff was actually coming in with a problem. So they all went back through the pit lane and lost about half a lap trying to catch everybody up. So best laid plans of mice men and race directors, unfortunately, got rather caught out by circumstance. John Philippi getting damaged on the grid when he stalled from his 14th place grid spot, 13th place grid spot, 12th place grid spot he was in race 1. 12th was supposed to be 12th for race 2 as well, and in fact he has been moved back just 1 row, so he will start on the 14th grid place. Rob Huff will start in the 13th grid position rather than position 4. So returning to René Munich's All-Inkle Motorsport team. Dominic Greiner running that team, of course, who has got lots and lots of World Touring Car experience. In fact, Dominic Greiner was the first man to run Jose Maria Lopez, wasn't he, when Pachito made his one-off appearance, as we thought then, in Termas de Rio Honda in that BMW. Just in front of him, Aurelian Panis, car number 8. I wonder if there's a story. I need to have a little bit of a post-race debrief with a few people. Why have they chosen 8 for Aurélien? Was it a favourite number of Aurélien or of his dad Olivier? Not sure.
What was Ivan? 67?
68, wasn't it? Because that's his.
Yeah, it was.
His arrondissement.
So is it just Ivan's number then?
68 is Yann Erlaché, because they're from the same.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm getting.
And in fact, that's why Erlaché missed the weighbridge, he said, because he thought when it came up 68, he thought it said 86, which is not him.
No, he thought his number was 86, didn't he?
Yeah, but why would he? Because he comes from postcode 68. So, but yeah, he saw the number and he thought, no, that's not me, that's not my number. But in fact, it was. And ironically, 86 is Esteban Guerrieri, so there is an 86, but that's not what it showed. There is an 86, and it wasn't his car.
Yeah, when I thought he was going to get away with it, I was actually noting that one down to try and use it sometime in the future, but then he got busted, so I crossed it all back out.
For Daniel Nagy, you would have to be a 66. Are you in trouble, number 99?
He thought he was having an ice cream.
Yeah, Daniel Nagy's his participation in this race is looking less likely by the minute. Tom Coronel getting ready to start from 10th on the grid.
He'll still be kicking himself after that race one.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he knew it was a long shot, and he knew where the trouble would lie, and he knew what he had to do about it. And in the end, it wasn't enough to keep the brakes alive. And again, you wonder about friction material and what the differences were between those two Chevys. I don't know whether when you have one of these RML cars, whether they recommend a certain, disc supplier, pad material supplier or whatever, or whether you're free to go your own way. That, again, I'm afraid, is one that we'll have to answer later. I think if you're in a Sebastian Loeb Racing Citroën, you jolly well do whatever the factory did last year and go with their suppliers, because it didn't seem to work particularly badly for the factory Citroën team for 3 years. And all of that factory setup data has been released to the privateers, so the 3 SLR cars and the Munich Motorsport car, all for the first time, have access to all the data that Citroën Sport accumulated over 3 victorious seasons. And one of the things they've now got to really get their heads around is how to interpret it, how to make it work for them.
But Martin, even though the cars are very almost identical spec as last year, last year's data is very seldomly used. It's only if you're properly in the mire and you're confused that you revert to last year's data. Otherwise, it's last year's data. It's not important. The weather will be different, the ambient will be different, the tyres will be reacting differently.
But you'll preset the car up with the setup that the winner had on, and then you'll arrive and move from there, rather than what you had last year.
Stabbing in the dark.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they've got data from last year, SLR, but they didn't have race winners. And so they've got then a little bit of something else. Well, again, not a little bit of something else, but a massive amount of interest, as ever, around Mehdi Benani. One of the things about Mehdi is how calmly he deals with all this. I mean, it is a massive frenzy around him. The same that we see in Hungary with Norby, the same that we saw, of course, in Villarreal for Thiago Montero last year. But here, perhaps even more so. I mean, he genuinely is one of Morocco's biggest stars of any kind.
But how many years has he been doing it for?
I know, but it doesn't make it any less frantic when you're trying to shut the door. And but he just
get used to it.
He does, and he has, and he just sort of breezes through it, and it really doesn't trouble his waters.
He's a nice bloke, though, isn't he? He's a calm guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Same way as Norby is. He's charming, and again, one of Hungary's biggest superstars.
Yes, absolutely. And again, another visit to the Hungaro ring is going to prove that. View over the Royal Palace Gardens, the walled palace right alongside us. And there is the mosque right in the heart of the Medina, the pre-medieval, I guess, centre of the old walled red city of Marrakesh. And the royal residence right behind us. It's got acres and acres and acres of trees, all of which cast shade, all of which helps to bring the fierce summer heat down by a couple of degrees. None of that, unfortunately, overlooking the track. Now, I'm not quite sure what the radio message from Nesta Girolami meant for this race, but he will start in second place. However, hoping to move to the top of the Drivers' Championship and to bring Honda with him in the Manufacturers' Championship. Honda 18 points behind after the opening race from Volvo. Thiago Monteiro, 4th career pole. And Thiago's now in that position where you know he's got that killer instinct, and he is going to, unless the car breaks, he's going to have this and nobody's going to take it off him.
New helmet design there for Thiago, trying to change his look, obviously.
Well, it's a sea of colour, but almost as if we're in Monza. Look how many red hats they are. Here it's not for Ferrari. Here they don't have a prancing horse. They have 25 and MB on because it's for Mehdi Benani.
Does every cap that they sell come with a drum? Because
and a flag. It does look like it sometimes, doesn't it? Yeah, no, I'll give you that, absolutely. I'll give you that. Yeah, there's a massive ensemble of flag waving, drumming. Mind you, they're deafened by every other stand in the entire paddock. Let's take a look then at our grid just to confirm. Thiago Monteiro on pole from Nesta Girolami. Norba Mikulits and Mehdi Benani was moved up to 4th on the grid because Rob Huff was already out of Parc Fermé. Nicky Katzberg and Volvo teammate Ted Björk will line up on row 3 of the grid. Then Tom Chilton looking for a bit of redemption with a gap alongside him. Esteban Guerrieri is still in the pit lane. Tom Coronel will line up on row 5 of the grid with a gap alongside him as well. Daniel Nagy still in the pit lane waiting for his Zengo Motorsport car to be fixed. Then Ria Michigami, Aurelien Panis ahead of Rob Huff, John Philippi and Jan El-Haché. I said that Michigami and Panis had penalties. That wasn't because the cars were taken out of Parc Fermé. It was because they both were penalised. They lost their qualifying times for missing the weighbridge, and so where they ought to have been on the grid has been changed to where they are down ahead of all those whose cars were taken out of Parc Fermé, which puts them further to the back of what was then the grid. Esteban Guerrieri, the points leader in the pit lane. Ted Björk starts on row 3 of the grid. He lies second in the championship ahead of Mehdi Benani and Thiago Monteiro. But there are more points now available for the main race of the weekend. And it looks as though Daniel Nagy will take part in that. Race winner of this main race will be a big bonus. Engines fired, cars getting ready to leave the grid in Morocco. We're here on the streets of Marrakesh. Mehdi Benani, the local hero, 4th place on the grid rather for him. See, there's 2 rows that are empty because Esteban Guerrieri and Daniel Nagy are still in the pit lane and will have to start from the pit lane once the race has begun. Daniel Nagy's car is ready. Guerrieri's is still to the extreme left there, door open, going nowhere. And Girolami. Okay, we need to have a listen into his radio if there's any traffic, because Girolami getting away from the dummy grid very slowly indeed. Well, let's hear from the local hero, Mehdi Benani, as he goes on the formation lap. Sounds like we've got a little technical issue there with Mehdi Benani and the ship-to-shore radio. However, you can see him there weaving down this middle straight on the circuit down to turn 7, trying to just make sure the tyres are nicely maintained at operating temperature, brakes as well, although although you don't want them to be too hot, Matt, you do need them to actually work when you go for them in the first corner. You don't want them to be stoned.
Yeah, maybe that cool persona we've been complimenting Mehdi of as the cat's got his tongue, so maybe he's just trying to keep himself to himself, cool down.
You saw the inset picture, Daniel Nudge and Esteban Guerrieri ready to go. Guerrieri's car was clearly just sitting, waiting in the shade to keep him as cool as possible. They will rejoin the race, or join the race, once the field has left. So once they're safely into turn one, the last two cars will be released from the pit lane. Guerrieri leading the WTCC trophy for independent drivers. He's also leading the main championship, courtesy of victory in the opening race. Opening race still pays 25 points to the victor. Main race pays 30.
Nestor, I think the best thing is do a manual start. What do you think? No, it was my fault recently. I didn't put effort here. I forget. Sorry.
All right, well,
Wow.
no need for a manual start. He's got to select the right settings on the steering wheel to make sure that the engine and the gearbox do what they should do. And this is a major important start for Nesta Girolami. Cars on the grid, waiting for the lights to go off. Red lights are on. Thiago Montero, the pole sitter on the right. Nesta Girolami does not make a great start. Banani again very quickly away, so is Norby. Mikulec is up into second, Banani into third, and Volvo's third, fourth-ish, fifth and sixth. Tom Chilton, Tom Coronel right behind them. Our pit lane starters have also left the pit lane, and Banani got shuffled out there by the Volvo duo. This is now a manufacturer battle, but down the inside, contact. Banani nerfs the back of Nicky Katzberg, I think, and turned around almost there, Ted Björk by Tom Coronel. But Björk holds on to it, and Chilton goes by Katzberg. So two of the Volvos now shuffled further back, and it is a Honda 1-2. Thiago Montero leading Norbert Michelitz.
Dream start for the two Castrol Hondas as they outfoxed Girolami, so whether that was any problem with the clutch or the start system, which we were talking about, but another good strong start for Chilton as well in the middle of the pack.
Coronel, let's see who's behind him. It is still Rio Michigami. So Michigami made a good start. Daniel Nudge.
Oh, Chilton was he helped?
Yikes.
I didn't see that.
Maybe just a little nerve.
Was that a
in.
repaying the favour?
Well, Robbins Racing. Nesta Girolami under pressure. Behind him is Mehdi Banani. Don't forget Banani on the podium in race 1. Would love to be on the podium in race 2. Can't allow the Hondas to get too far away. And Norby already on lap 1, Matt, looking for clear airflow.
Yeah, the temperature's not getting in.
Here comes Huff, sending it down the inside of Michigami. Yes, he's still there. And Michigami couldn't shut the door, still can't shut the door. He's not sure where Huff's gone. He was in the blind spot there, but actually Michigami was safe.
Oh, big lockup.
Oh dear, yeah, we saw that in the end of the race in the Volvos. We saw they all had their brakes bled.
I know what you meant.
Yeah, my tongue didn't.
Huffy's looking for that inside line off Michigami. Just with that new spec Honda engine, it just seems to have the power to hold the Citroën off, which in previous years it hasn't.
And behind, Jan Erlaché and John Philippi, the man whose car his was wrecked on when Philippi started, or failed to start in the first getaway in the opening race of the season. So Jan Erlaché in 11th, John Philippi in 12th, and Aurelian Panis got dropped at the start.
You can see the frustration in Huffy by the attitude of his car. He's just wanted to get past Michigami and just get on with it.
Well, look at Katzberg and Björk, how much they've been dropped by the lead quartet. Now, I know they both had a couple of nudges and so on, but, I mean, that's miles behind.
Yeah, that Chilton obviously got into I think he got in the back of Katzberg, and then Katzberg paid back the favour, I think, on the following lap.
Yeah. So Thiago to Norby is half a second. Girolami and Banani are within a tenth of Norby. And then 3 seconds is the gap from Banani in 4th to Katzberg in the next Volvo in 5th. 3 seconds in 2 laps.
Now all these cars are on base weight, so they're all on 0 weight. Bar Banani, who's going to be on, he's on his 50 kilos, so He's hanging on to the back of him. I mean, all he's got to do is sit there, just hope Girolami will have a go at one of the Hondas and he can pick up some scraps.
Well, they're all four of them close together, aren't they? And then the two Volvos are starting to pull away from Tom Chilton. Coronel's got Michigami and Huff behind.
Huff using every inch of those curves, just trying to find a chink in Michigami's armor.
Coronel had about half the race.
Oh, it's a big lock up there.
With Michigami behind him, and then Chilton's Citroen behind Michigami. So for Michigami, it's the same all over again. 21 lap race, beg your pardon. The main race, and that's without the need to add any safety car laps yet. Huff again in that black all-inkle car, got a really good launch there, down into the braking area. Can he get around in turn 3? Watching Ted Björk, watching Nicky Katzberg from on board with Ted Björk. Katzberg, Björk and Chilton, that's 5th, 6th and 7th. Here they come. Sweeping round the left and then over the brow, dropping down into from the right into the left-hander rather.
That's surprising. Katzberg's locking up his front wheels. Now, one, it's this early. He's got a smell of an imbalance there.
Yes.
He's looking. But if anything, you're going to be locking up the rears.
Except the front drops first, and of course you have most retardation, like in a road car, on the front. Huff is looking at every corner as an overtaking opportunity here on Michigami. And the more he does it, Matt, although Michigami's hugely experienced, the more he's going to rattle it.
Race 1 winner. Just set the fastest lap of the race, back in 14th place.
And for the independents, there is an extra point for fastest lap as well of the independent drivers, so he may well end up bagging that. So it's going well for Esteban Guerrieri. He's in 14th, but nevertheless, that extra point for fastest lap needs taking by somebody.
And it's a second a lap quicker than, no it's not, because Montero's just pulled his finger out, so he's got the hammer down and just dropped Michelitz by half a second in that lap.
Yeah. Well, our timing screen says that Thiago is 1 1/4 seconds ahead of Norby. I'm not sure he is. Maybe only at the line. Huff still trying to find a way past Michigami. Big lock up from Chilton. Or was that Volvo tyre smoke in front of Chilton?
Or just almost, he's got the overlap.
Yeah. Yep. And Michigami could have fought that until the cows come home and would never have got by. There's Huff's mum. Huff Mummy and Huff Daddy in the garage.
Gets through and moves on to the next one, Coronel.
That's not a 2 1/4. That's a car length and a quarter.
Oh,
the timing screen is paying us. Oh, and Aurelian Panis looks like he's run out of... looks like he's run out of brakes. Or has he? That's why he dropped back, because he was right up behind Jan Elochet at the wheel, at the line.
Cars 25 and 63 under investigation, and that
Which is
Bernardi and
Katzberg. So nudging his way through. Are they going to say, would you say it was an unfair move?
Well,
on the opening lap when everybody's brakes are cold and under hard braking like that?
He did help him.
He did help him, he did touch him.
But it wasn't a side-to-side as well, Martin. It was front to rear, so you'd have to say...
Well, he had a bit of an overlap, but then look at the, here under braking, he would have a bit of an overlap because he's got with better brakes.
If you just push someone in the back, then...
Well, we might get a chance to take a look again at that, but it might be that Mehdi Banani's hopes of a podium are about to fade. More tyre smoke down into corner 3. And Huff is all over Coronel, and this is for 8th. Through the chicane, the yellow car, Tom Coronel, the black car of Rob Huff battling for 8th position. Tom Chilton is a 2.5 seconds up the road from them, but Huff made short work of Ria Michigami once he got a run on him. He's got to get a run on Coronel as well, Matt Neal. You've got to arrive and drive by. If you get stuck behind, you lose time. Let's have a look here at Aurelian Panis. Did he just... broke the right front suspension. Whacked it on that big sausage, and that was all that. Coronel shutting the door on Huff. Huff had a much better run out of corner 9 onto the back straight. Corner 10, rather. But into 11, he's still behind. Not for long though, is he?
Still, where's Huffy? 9th at the moment, so this is 8th and 9th position.
Katzberg and Bjork, last time round, 125 zeros. Leader doing 124.9. So they're doing the same pace just about as Thiago Monteiro. But as you can see from that, they're 5 and 5.5 seconds back from the leader. In fact, they're 2 seconds behind Mehdi Benani. However, at the moment, Honda scoring for first and second, Volvo for third, third, fourth and fifth, or third, fifth and sixth. So that should still...
Yeah, that's if Benani keeps his position, Martin. Otherwise, you could get Katzberg moving up.
Yeah.
And Bjork.
Well, that should still help Volvo hold a championship lead over Honda as they leave here, but we're a long way from that chicken counting. 7 laps done of 21, 1/3 distance, or we're on lap 7. Let's take a look again at the start. Mehdi Benani, car number 25, and it's Nicky Katzberg not there. Well, John Philippi needs to have a bit more start practice, and Aurelien Panis, his car didn't get off the line either.
He got away okay, his reaction time was fine. Oh, it's closer to turn 1. Oh, a bit of a nudge.
Yep, that's the Volvo of Nesta Girolami onto Norbert Mikulits. You see Mikulits going left, Benani going right.
Right, so how does Katzberg get in front of Benani? Because Benani's well up. Oh.
He goes through here.
Yeah, opportunistic.
Yeah. So Benani might feel miffed. Okay. In the braking area, was that push to pass, or was he looking and the door got shut?
Yeah.
And by the time you're on the brakes there...
Problem is, he's committed. There by the grace of God go I say.
However, we saw there in the replay, he also got nudged out wide and cost a place by Nesta Girolami. So he might feel a little bit miffed.
Chilton having a nose through, good move.
Yep. If Girolami hadn't pushed Benani wide, Benani wouldn't have been behind Katzberg.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was early on,
wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. These are all the incidents. We've got yellow flags out still for Aurelien Panis, and a vehicle ready to rescue his car. Undrivable, there'll be no steering, and that right front wheel will be doing self-steer. There's Ivan Muller, senior advisor. He's been doing a lot of work with them during testing.
Not many with more experience than him.
No, exactly right. And you know, we say this all the time. If you're coming in with a new team and a new car, hire a multiple champion to tell you what a good touring car feels like, because he knows. So wave by for the latter part of the field from Bruno Carrera, our safety car driver. He's waiting to pick up race leader Thiago Monteiro.
Good tactical safety car, build, back the pack up.
Well, it's not exactly a tactic, but it works well for Thiago Monteiro. Well, they're still going to investigate 25 and 63, not 25 and 61, Nesta Girolami.
That's Benani and Katzberg.
Yeah, so that was that incident under braking into turn 3.
Oh, it's been a tough weekend for Zenga, isn't it?
Yeah, really tough. Aurelien Panis got a point in his first race, will not get a finish in his second. However, Jan Erlaché is in 12th.
This is where we're going to see.
Yeah.
Wow,
it was the tiniest of touches, but then when you're fully committed under braking, Matt, it has a big effect.
Was Katzberg trying to close the door too late, or was that his line?
Well, Benani sends it, and there's still a gap.
But you could say it's an ever-reducing gap, so...
Yeah. Well, Marc Duez is a very experienced driver. He's our driver standards advisor, so it's his choice.
You'd probably have to say you're putting your nose in there where the gap, the gaps. They'll probably do him for that one. I don't know. It's there'll be good arguments for and against.
Well, see, my argument for Benani, playing devil's advocate, was if Girolami didn't push him out wide, he would have been ahead of Girolami and Katzberg, and would never have made contact with Katzberg.
Yeah, but on the other side of the coin, you could see the attitude and the direction of the circuit and the way the concrete wall's coming in. You know the gap is going to decrease. So by putting your car there, the contact is unavoidable.
Yep.
So It's not our decision.
Indeed,
we'll just talk about it.
Indeed not. And we'll wait to see what decision is made.
William de Bacler.
Yeah. Watching his cars, currently
Motor
first and second, and Michigami in 10th. So Michigami earning points as well here, or a point at least. So first and second pay 53 points, and 10th 1 point, so that'd be 54 points. And I'm going to do counting. You watch the screen in case anything interesting happens.
Big haul for Honda this will be, so...
Volvo will get 19 plus 13 plus 10.
They're still going to outscore
42. Thiago Montero was being advised by the team, we understand, from our spy in the cab, Neil Cole, that he was being told by the team to slow the pace down to sort of bunch the rest of the field up behind him. Not behind the safety car, but during the race, the early parts of the race. Norman Mikulicz behind him. They wanted to bunch everybody else up. Safety car about to come in, as our race distance is now out to 23 laps.
This is exactly what Rob Huff will want. Bunched back up again, so cause a bit of confusion. A bit of bottlenecking, see if he can see in opportunities.
Well, lights off on the safety cars. He exits turn 10 and sector 2. And Bruno Carrera will beetle off down towards the pit lane entrance as Thiago Montero will get ready to launch himself into the lead. Now, what he'll want to do is somehow... Ooh, he's gone very early. Caught Norman Mikulicz entirely by surprise. And Norby was still weaving when Thiago had the hammer down. So Thiago has made himself a winning margin, but he's sacrificed Norby. He's thrown him under the Volvo bus, potentially. If the two of them had coordinated that and gone go, 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 when Norby wasn't weaving, they could both have jumped away from the Volvos. Because, Matt, that was quite early to go onto the gas after the safety car.
The maximum gap is 5 car lengths behind safety car. It's a good idea to make a bit of a gap, but the maximum permitted is 5 car lengths.
Okay, drive-through penalty for car 86, which is Esteban Guerrieri for working on the car in the fast lane. So they had the bonnet up, they were working on it rather than pushing it out of the way. Rob Huff now looking at Tom Coronel, trying to get through. So our race 1 winner, who had to start in the pit lane, has been handed a drive-through penalty. So he'll have to go in and drop right to the tail of the field.
Yeah, you'd have to say that's bad teamwork from the Honda team with Montero and Mikulicz. You'd think they'd work together to break Girolami.
Yeah.
You know, work together and then have a scrap about it afterwards. Oh, he's looking, isn't he?
Because you're Norby, you're weaving, and suddenly, whoa, hey, where's he gone?
Yeah, hang your teammate out to dry.
Yeah, however, Norby seems to have pulled away from Girolami, so now Mehdi Benani is waiting to have a go at the lead Volvo. There are only 18 points between Volvo and Honda in that order, first and second after the first race in the Manufacturers' Championship. But if Girolami loses a spot, then that gap will certainly be decreased. I'm not sure for manufacturers' points whether Benani counts or not. So whether Katzberg and Björk are effectively 4th and 5th, or whether you only get points for the position in which you finish. You saw in the inset Guerrieri serving his drive-through. And Katzberg and Björk, the two blue Volvos together there. Again, Nicky Katzberg with massive front-end lockups there.
And Björk.
Yeah.
He was struggling last 2 laps.
Yeah. Huff all over Coronel.
I don't think Huff's been more than 2 feet off the back of a car for the whole race.
No. But he's got a lot of aggression and anger to work out, and frustration, hasn't he? No free practice 1 for a slight technical hitch.
The problem is, as you work your way forward, the job gets tougher and tougher.
Yeah. And the longer it takes to work forward, the bigger the gaps are. But he's smelling all the brake, burned tyre in the air in front of him. He knows he's got a better car than the next 2 or 3 guys up the road potentially.
Yeah, you can do it for a bit, Martin. Then you start frying your tyres. So it just makes him a weaker package as he works his way forward.
Again, the longer it takes, the harder it gets, as you said. He'll have less tyre, he'll have less brake than, say, Tom Chilton, if and when he gets by Tom Coronel, because Chilton's not racing anybody, not with this level of intensity.
Yeah, Coronel's keeping it very tight this time round, isn't he?
Yeah. 12 laps completed, so we're on lap 13 of 23, just past the midpoint of this race. And it's at this stage that Tom Coronel's pedal went to the floor when he was leading. He had no brakes and shot off the circuit. So his brakes are lasting longer in this second race than they did in the first.
His rear view mirror is getting a good workout in this in this race, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but look at the way that Huff hasn't even touched him. Because he knows that to pick up a place by nerfing him out of the way, it's just going to earn him a drive-through. It's absolutely a pointless exercise.
He couldn't be much closer off him.
Whoa, monster lock-up, and I think Huff had to take slightly avoiding action there as Coronel's car drifted into the braking area, fully crossed up. And they're losing ground as Chilton closes on the Volvos. Katzberg 5th, Björk 6th, Chilton 7th.
The interesting thing going forward, Martin, obviously because Citroëns have had a very average weekend. Oh, well, let's see what, actually, we're just going to go down to Bernani and see what he's got to say.
Okay, they're telling him to keep a gap to cool the engine. So his engine temperature is starting to send off alarm bells on the laptops on the Pratt perch. And so they're, well, not so much keep a gap, but hunt for that cool air. It's exactly what you do in a wet to dry race, Matt. You try and keep the tyres cool by moving offline to search for water. Here you're trying to do it to search for clear laminar airflow.
Yeah, you can see the Honda's doing it at the front, but yeah, just going back to what I was saying is the Citroëns have had a very average weekend. They're carrying the weight, so by virtue of lap times, the way the calculations work, we are going to see before long the Volvos and the Hondas will start to gather weight, and they have to carry weight penalty, and it will be coming off the Citroën, so there's going to be a complete role reversal. It's not going to be 50 kilos one way. If the Citroën loses it and they gain it, it's a double whammy in the other direction.
Yeah, exactly so. Well, now you can see that Bernani is starting to struggle a little bit for pace, because suddenly Nicky Katzberg and Ted Björk are closer to him than he is to Nesta Girolami. But as Rob Huff and Tom Coronel are proving, catching is one thing, passing is entirely another around here. The straights are short. However, they might not need to pass Mehdi Bernani, because Bernani might end up with a drive-through penalty. Neil Hudson from Touring Car Times tells us if positions between Honda and Volvo remain as they are, their top two cars scoring points, they will be tied leaving Marrakesh. Now, what he didn't tell us is if the car of Bernani is invisible for points, or if they move by him to go 4th and 5th instead of 5th and 6th, then Volvo will gain more points, I think. Thiago Montero still with the lead. Norbert Michelisz second. Honda went 1-2-3 in qualifying here, 1-2-3 on the road in the main race last year, only to have that taken away by the judiciary later on in the season over an argument over the flat floor of the car. So can they get a 1-2 result here? Looking back at Rob Huff from Tom Coronel.
Okay.
A little touch there, but in a straight line under braking, so Coronel still remains in front. The gap is growing between the Volvos and Tom Chilton. He's being dropped.
You can see as soon as Huffy gets some clear air, he's up there, right, setting the fastest front sector, but then he just gets bottled back up and just gets stuck there.
Gap between Ted Björk and Tom Chilton now out to 8/10, so Chilton's not within lunging distance, but Björk rather stuck behind Katzberg, who's dictating the pace of that pair, and they're still 7/10, 3/4 of a second in fact, away from Mehdi Benani, or at least they were at the beginning of the lap. Gap between Michelitz and Girolami in the first of the blue Volvos is now out over 0.8 of a second. And he is sticking with his teammate, isn't he? Thiago Monteiro leading, Norbert Michelitz second place.
Katzberg's closing in on Benani again now. That's an interesting one because there's a little bit of a payback could come on here. So,
well, still no news about an outcome. Daniel Laggi, Esteban Guerrieri, our two pit lane starters. That's the Guerrieri we know and love as a racing car driver. That's my line, I'm having it. And suddenly, Norby has dropped back half a second almost from Thiago on that lap.
well, he's not going to throw it up the inside, so it's best to keep the car nice and cool and watch your back.
John Philippi ahead of Jan Elhaché. Philippi in 11th, Elhaché in 12th. The rookie in the RC Motorsport Lada. Oh! Tom Coronel's yellow Chevrolet, yellow and red car, squirreling under braking all the time.
Huffy's having to be on his toes not to run into the back of him.
Yeah. And that's the danger, isn't it? Is that Tom's suddenly having to get onto the brakes earlier than Huff needs to or wants to. There's Pauline Svart watching from the pit lane, hoping that Tom can hang on to this one. And ooh, was there a place change between the Volvos? I think there was a touch there, but again, Huff's in danger. Yeah, there was. You could hear the bump.
Yeah.
But again, that's because Tom's on the brakes so early, and Huff's braking in a normal place. I wonder what alarm bells are sounding on Norby's dash, because he has dropped back a little, looking for clear air. Oh, yeah. Another lock-up from Chilton or the Volvos.
These tyres are going to be like 50 pence pieces, aren't they?
Oh, mate. Red hot as well. You won't want to be touching any of these tyres as the cars come into parc fermé. Your hand will stick to them. And it'll burn. Take the skin off your palm. Tom Coronel still holding off Rob Huff. 8th place.
How many times can Coronel defend if I move? 3, 4 times, weaving.
That's the way of it, and unfortunately there's no space for Rob to create another overtaking opportunity. If Tom puts the car in the middle of the road, then it's not wide enough to go round.
Yeah, what Rob's complaining about is he's moving from side to side, so Huffy goes to make a move on him and he'll move to cover it, so he goes the other way and he'll move to cover that way, so that is frustrating.
Yeah, but not illegal.
And it's difficult to police, Martin.
Yeah. Well, you know, the straights are short here, so you do move naturally on most of them from one side to another anyway. It's just when you move, you wait to see where the other guy's going before you really commit yourself. So here, he could have gone all the way to the left, could have stayed all the way to the right, but now he moves over.
He's weaving, rocket left, rocket right, in one straight, slow down.
He's not happy, is he?
Well, I don't think Tom's going to get a drive-through. The very most he's likely to get is a black and white warning flag. Again, as we're used to seeing in Formula One, frustration coming out over the pit radio. Tom Chilton's found some extra pace, fastest first sector of the race for him on the last lap, closing in on the Volvos. 4 more laps after this one, so maybe Chilton fancies having a bit of a stab at the blue cars in front of him. He's probably choking on burned brake smoke. Huff Daddy watching from the pits. He's probably getting an awful lot more radio traffic from Rob Huff than we're replaying on air.
The rest of it you probably can't play on air.
No. Neil Cole's probably having to... no, can't use that. No, can't use that one. No, can't use that one. Well, now look at our lead group. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars all together. And then a big gap back to 8th and 9th.
Yeah, flying formation for the Castrol Hondas at the front.
Yeah. But Girolami is closer. Benani is closer, Katzberg, Björk and Chilton are closer as well. But again, win at the minimum speed possible, that's the rule. And as long as Thiago has got Norby behind him and he doesn't really throw Norby under the bus, then he can afford to just ease the pace a little. Fastest race lap for Montero, 1 minute 23.8. They're currently lapping 1 minute 25.5, which was pretty much a lead race pace in the opening race from Esteban Guerrieri. Guerrieri's fastest lap, a 1:23.6, is still the fastest lap. Only one other car's been in the 23s, and that's Thiago with 1:23.85.
I mean, Huffy, you know, his difficulty in passing is just highlighting how tough it is to pass around here, whether it be the car, the track.
Yeah.
You know, some of the, you could argue at the front some of the drivers are just playing it safe to pick up the strong points of the feature race, but
sure,
you know, where Huffy is, he's got nothing to lose. He wants to throw caution to the wind, but it's just every way he looks, it's just blocked off.
Yep. It almost looks like a safety car lap, doesn't it? They're all so close together. And Montero is definitely just easing them all together. On board with Norby. You can see, look, again, Norby's got all the time in the world to go for clear airflow. Dominic Greiner in the black shirt. Peter Huff passively closest to the cameras. And William de Brecquelaire. This could be a very handy 1-2 result for them. Rio Michigami may have worse World Touring Car weekend luck than he's had this weekend, but I wouldn't want to bet on it, and I certainly wouldn't want to wish it on him.
From Katzberg there.
Yeah. The third Honda has not been a factor at all in either of these races, unfortunately.
Just quick shot there of Ronnie Hartfelt, who's the technical chief of Volvo now, Volvo Sport. He was the former technical director of RML and one of the kingpin people around Chevrolet's multiple championship winning successes. So
right from the start with the Lachetti all the way through to the end of the TC1.
Very clever guy.
Yeah. Always good to see.
Good guy, good scoop for Volvo to get their hands on him as well.
Yeah. And of course, Duncan moved across to Honda last year, didn't he, to head up their engineering program. In fact, Honda designer, the original designer of this Honda Civic, Andrea Adamo, has now taken up design duties for Hyundai. Gabriele Tarquini has joined him on their development program. Now they're developing not a world touring car, but again, lots and lots of touring car development going on in all sorts of different veins. It's becoming quite a broad church, touring car racing. Ted Björk, Nicky Katzberg. Now, Mehdi Benali has definitely dropped away from Nestor Girolami. You don't see it quite so much on the foreshortened long shot, but that high overhead shot shows how big the gaps have grown. Girolami, the lead Volvo.
Esteban Guerrieri still holding fastest lap of the race, back in 13th place.
Now, Björk was second in race 1, and Girolami was 9th-ish, 8th-ish, I forget. And at the moment, Girolami is 3rd, and Björk is 6th. I think Björk will still have the most Volvo points and might end up as our championship leader. Not quite sure what's happening with Mehdi Benani. I mean, it took a long time, it took about 40 minutes for Esteban Guerrieri to be penalised for working in the pit lane before the cars went out to the grid. So wait and see.
Honda's made a little bit of a break. They've got a nice little buffer now.
Yep, 1 to go. And the Honda's looking very comfortable. Anything but inside the cockpit, Matt. I mean, really fairly brutally oppressive temperatures. In the cockpit, it'll definitely be in the 60s. And I'm not talking Fahrenheit.
Yeah, I mean, in racing terms, these are fairly short races. They're sprint races, 30, 40 minutes long. But they will be looking forward to that checkered flag when they get to it.
Now, and this is why motor racing drivers are gym bunnies, why they spend countless hours on bicycles and in the gym to stand up to this sort of physical stress. Thiago Monteiro heads down to the final couple of corners, out of turn 10.
Is Michelit's getting a bit feisty? It would be nice to see, wouldn't it, for us?
Well,
anyway.
I'm not sure that Norby's the sort of guy that's going to try and nick it off Thiago in the final corner. However, he will be as close as he possibly can unless or until Thiago gets the checkered flag. And as they come out to the final corner...
Thiago, vai, Thiago, vai, Thiago! Grande Thiago!
Lots of Italian jubilation on the radio.
Yes! Well done, guys. Well done. Yes, sir.
Little sort out for 12th place between our rookie Jan Erlacher and our opening race winner and championship leader Esteban Guerrieri. And Guerrieri in the end does not get by the young Frenchman. But Honda have their 1-2. And Thiago Monteiro, as he must have hoped after qualifying yesterday, when he put the car on the DHL pole, has claimed 30 points for the main race win. The blue Volvo of Nesta Girolami pulls alongside the Castrol Honda of Thiago Monteiro, undoubtedly giving him a little thumbs up. Girolami finishing on the podium in 3rd spot. And that will be his first podium finish. And Thiago Monteiro, from his 4th career pole, moves himself into double figures in his World Touring Car win number 10. Oh, we didn't see that. Last lap, Ted Björk finally ran out of brakes. Nicky Katzberg stayed in front, and Tom Chilton slipped by for 6th. But again...
Well done, guys. It was a stressful few weeks before the season started. I know you did a fantastic job. Well done. Ichiban!
So, English, Italian, Portuguese, Japanese, all sorts of delighted voices on the Honda radio. As Thiago Monteiro will head into winner's circle. Lots of smiles from the Mugen Honda guys. They've been particularly feeling that the finger gets pointed at them for Honda not being able to compete on equal terms, let's say, with Citroën Racing over the last 2 or 3 seasons. And they believe they've made a big step. And whatever the ins and outs of it, Honda have got competitive in this opening race weekend. Outright fastest man in qualifying, pole position and victory in the main race. Thiago Monteiro has had a good race weekend here. Well, he, Norbert Michelis, both had to figure themselves as potential champions this year. Mehdi Benani, perhaps. Tom Chilton, perhaps. Rob Huff, perhaps, as well. What about the Volvos? Nicky Katzberg, Nesta Girolami, Ted Björk, who knows? A very happy Castrol Honda team and a very happy, if slightly warm, Thiago Monteiro, our main race winner here in Marrakesh. And if we're going to have a hotter race in Europe, it may well be his home race in Villarreal, Portugal. Well, a moment there from Alessandro Mariani, the boss of Yas Sport, for his driver. Congratulations, Nesta Girolami on the podium. So for Volvo, 2 drivers on the podium in the opening 2 races. Ted Björk and Nesta Girolami. For the Castrol Honda 1-2, led by Thiago Monteiro. As you saw, Alex Legui down there getting ready to have a word. Oh no.
great result for Honda and a great result for this man here, Thiago Monteiro. You win the main race, the first of the season, 2017. All of the stress, all of the winter, it was all worth it.
Definitely, all the hard work. I mean, God knows how many days we've been out on the road or far away from the family, but it's all worth it when you come to here and you have such a great race. So yeah, definitely this is the best way we can start. You know, pole position, win, 6th place I think also in the first race, and we show that we are strong. I mean, it's not going to be like this all the time, obviously. Next race we know it's going to be the hardest, but we'll take the points here and the win. Thank you.
You guys were not sure, you weren't expecting to be quite as strong here.
Well, you know, we won last year. We knew it was a good race for us, a good track for us. But still, until you do it and until you see how the other ones are, you're never sure. So all the hard work, you know, now you see that it pays off, and that's why you need to keep pushing.
Your 10th win, and what a way to start the season. Well done.
Pole position number 4, race win at number 10. There's his happy dad, and with it, the championship lead for Thiago Monteiro. Norbert Nicholas lies 2nd in the standings, so a Honda driver won later, but normally you would judge that during the race and then make your judgment and award a drive-through. If not. Well, we're hearing also on the radio that Mehdi Banani apparently the stewards will make a later investigation. Normally, and they had plenty of time to do it, they should have made that judgment during the race. However, they didn't. So we may see, as we did yesterday evening after qualifying, that what we left is not what we got. However, as far as points go, Mehdi Banani was invisible for points, so Honda won 2 and Volvo scored for 3 and 4. Luckily, Tom Chilton didn't dive bomb Nicky Katzberg, otherwise Volvo would have been behind Honda in the championship points. As it is, we believe that they will be tied exactly on 96 points apiece. And when I say we, I mean Neil Hudson of Touring Car Times, because we're far too busy and important, obviously, Matt, to do any adding up on air. Plus, we can't count.
Yeah, it's a strong weekend for both the Hondas and the Volvo teams. A surprising weekend for the RML Chevrolets with Campos, and you have to say a disappointing weekend for all the Citroën guys. It's been okay, very disappointing for Huff, and yeah, the Sebastian Loeb Racing boys, Chilton and co. Yeah, they finished. They just move on and hopefully look to Monza where they should be stronger.
Well, as they stand now. When we came here, we went into qualifying, okay, who might win this championship? Right now, here is the driver's order. Thiago Monteiro, Norbert Mikulits, Mehdi Banani, Esteban Guerrieri. Now, he's perhaps a bit of a wild card that we might not normally have thrown into the equation. Ted Björk and Nicky Katzberg, yeah, we were looking at them. Girolami and Chilton. Chilton needs to get a little bit more under his belt in terms of point scoring, as does Coronel, but the one that we expected to be right up there who wasn't after this weekend, as you said, was Rob Huff. But again, like Michigami, if Huff has a worse weekend this season, then I'm not sure he really wants to be around for it.
Actually, Martin, we say this, but you know, with Chilton, I bet he's the driver who's made the most clean overtaking moves this weekend.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy around here, so.
And he's only 4 points behind in a WTCC trophy. Esteban Guerrieri, who won the opening race, is in 3rd place for the Indies, ahead of Tom Coronel.
Championship here, Race of Morocco 2017. Please welcome onto the podium, in 3rd place, from Polestar Cyan Racing, it's Nestor Girolami. And in 2nd position, from Castrol Honda World Touring Car Team, it's Norbert Mikulits. Once again, again, from the Castrol Honda World Touring Car Team, your winner of the main race is Tiago Monteiro. And the WTCC trophy winner from Sebastian Loeb Racing is Mehdi Banani. Representing Castrol Honda World Touring Car Team is Furukawa, the winning manufacturer. And now the national anthem for Tiago Monteiro and Castrol Honda World Touring Car Team. Presenting the trophy to Nestor Girolami is Mr. Fouad Ouri, Mayor of Communal Council of Marrakesh. Monsieur Fouad will also present the trophy to our second place, Norbert Michelitz. And Wali Marrakesh Stafi, Monsieur Lebjoui will present our winning trophy to Tiago Monteiro. Monsieur Lebjoui will also present the trophy to our WTCC trophy winner, Mehdi Banani. And once again, Monsieur Lebjoui, Wali Marrakesh Stafi, will present the trophy to the winning manufacturer, Castrol Honda World Touring Car Team, Mr. Furukawa. Ready for confetti! Your sweet, sweet love, won't you play on me? Keep me coming, 'cause you're all that I need.
Music around here. Tiago Monteiro wins the main race in Marrakesh. He is our championship leader. And some of the names we expected to see in the frame have stood up and earned the points. It is the first of 12 race weekends of the 2017 FIA World Touring Car Championship. These are only the first shots. The battle is underway. Manufacturers' Championship standings, Volvo and Honda are tied to the point. So we move on to the next race weekend and see who will have better fortune in a very, very different kind of a track. From the streets of Marrakesh we move to the cathedral of speed that is Autodromo Nazionale di Monza. The Tag Heuer fastest lap of the race award of either race goes to Esteban Guerrieri, who set that in race 2 and also claimed victory in race 1. And that then is it from Marrakesh, Morocco. For Matt Neal and the rest of the FIA World Touring Car TV crew here on site, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for joining us. Join us next time out when we head back to Monza, to the fastest racetrack in the calendar. Until then, it's goodbye for now.